Hey, man, get the band back on.
Adam Curry, John C. Dvorak.
It's Sunday, July 14th, 2019. This is your award-winning Gitmo Nation Media Assassination episode 1155.
This is No Agenda.
Hodling like a good maximalist should, and broadcasting live from the frontier of Austin, Texas, capital of the Drone Star State. In the morning, everybody, I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where it's Bastille Day. And nobody really cares, I don't think. I'm John C. Dvorak.
It's Crackpot and Buzzkill in the morning.
Well, that's not fair. We have at least 3 French listeners. So
we do.
Congratulations to you, French listeners.
Those 3.
those
well,
3.
Actually, if they're real French, today's the day, Bastille Day, that they go on vacation.
Yes.
And they're on vacation through the rest of July, August until September 1st.
I know. Yeah. That's
the life.
That part of France is pretty good. I like what they do there. Did you see Macron with his military display?
No, I did not.
He had a guy on a hoverboard. So a soldier and a hover. It wasn't just a hoverboard.
Top and Trump.
Oh yeah. This is something Trump would have loved to have. This guy's flying right up over the Champs-Elysees. He's got his automatic rifle in his one hand. It's just a little board, and he's flying all over the place. You know, you've seen similar demonstrations maybe on YouTube, but I never expected to see it over the Champs-Elysees. That was good.
I'm gonna have to go look that up.
Yeah. Bastille Day is, of course, the original French Drain the Swamp Day, I guess.
It was more than drain the swamp. It was chop off heads.
Well, after they chopped the heads off, they had to drain.
Don't do that here.
They had to drain the swamp of the blood.
The blood.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because something funny happened to me after the show on Thursday. And I don't know why. Somehow I realized. I think I even emailed you about this. I realized it's Bastille Day is Sunday, and then I'm thinking, Trump was messaging for weeks, like, it's starting on the 14th Sunday, we're going to do it. Ice raid's coming, ice. And isn't he the guy that always says, I'm not going to tell anyone what I'm going to do. I'm not like Obama. I'm not going to have, I need the element of surprise. Or am I mistaken? Does he telegraph stuff all the time like this?
There's a bunch of people that have made this observation, which leads me to believe this is another one of the feints, a scam.
Well, so here's how my brain was working at the time. Remember, I'm just finished with the show. And I think, wait a minute. Bastille Day, that was the original Drain the Swamp Day. That's this Sunday. Here we have Trump messaging about stuff. And I thought to myself, hey, remember those hundreds of sealed indictments that we kept hearing about for years? Oh, yes.
40,000.
Oh, I only heard about hundreds. I don't know about 40,000. I've heard about hundreds of
40,000 sealed indictments.
Yeah, and I thought, of course, this is it. He's going to arrest all the pedophiles, and everyone will be thinking ice raids, and then he's going to go and bust the pedo bears.
Yeah, you put that in the email, and it was an eye roller.
So I sent that to Pachenik, my handler.
Yes.
And he calls me. He calls me Saturday. He says, well, Adam, and if you don't know who Steve Pachenik is, I think most people who are listening probably do.
You people should look him up. It's Piezz, and you'll find his name.
Yeah, he has a resume that is quite impressive. Psychological operations, hostage negotiation. So he calls me up. He's my handler. I mean, I think we're pretty aware of it, which is good, because that way we don't get into too much trouble as long as we keep reminding ourselves. He says, Adam, well, congratulations. What, Steve? Well, you figured it out. Because I said, oh, wait a minute. You mean this actually goes to the FBI? Or he says, no. This goes all the way to Mossad. I said, oh, really? He says, yeah. He says, but there's a problem. So what's that? He says, you can't talk about it. I said, I can't talk about it. I said, no. You cannot do this because it will ruin your show. You will be branded an anti-Semite, and they will just pound you into oblivion. So instead, he says, I will make a video about it. So imagine my surprise when he made a video about it. Even more surprised when I saw the clips come in this morning that you saw the video and you actually, you're in my beat, but that's okay. You clipped it. So I
edited it down a little bit because there's some spurious information that's unnecessary.
So I'm thinking, I'm very curious to see what your take is on it. And we don't have to explain the video. I don't know what you were planning on doing, so I'm going to leave it open to you.
Well, why don't you play, instead of getting the hearsay what Pachenik's thinking, let's listen to Pachenik.
You want to listen to the two clips, the first one you got?
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to talk about the Epstein pedophilia ring. What it really is a Mossad Israeli operative ring. Israel has not been our greatest ally. It's been our greatest enemy. They were also involved in 9/11 and the Standout Wolfowitz deputy. It confirmed that to me. Israeli Mossad operatives who I interrogated and threatened confirmed that to me, and I put away 2 Mossad operatives. The key to this Epstein problem of pedophilia is the fact that it goes back decades. Jeff Epstein was picked out by the Mossad as the proper agent of influence because, number one, he was grandiose. 2, he had some intelligence, but came from a poor Jewish background, had no real education, did not speak a foreign language, and was so narcissistic that they could manipulate him up and down and create a false front for him, which involved the fact that he had multi-million dollars or multi-billion dollars. He may have no money. It's not even relevant. But to make sure that Jeffrey Epstein was working properly, they had an operative from the Mossad who was named Maxwell, the daughter of Robert Maxwell, one of the greatest crooks in the world, who was an Israeli Mossad operative. When he died in 1991, he was either killed or he died. He was one of the biggest contributors to Israeli national security of anybody else. So his daughter was the control operative of Jeff Epstein. At the same time, we had Nexium in New York City, which was run by a non-Jew named Renier, but controlled by 2 Jewish women, the Bronfman family. And they, in turn, were propagating pedophilia. Now, why is pedophilia so lethal? From an intelligence point of view, from my point of view, as an intelligence operative and a counterintelligence operative, one of the most disgusting things that you can do in the intelligence world is to double you up or co-opt you through the use of a honey trap, but not only an adult honey trap, but a child.
So when I heard this, when I was seeing him do this video, I thought, did he take my notes and just add to it? This is a lot of what I was talking about on Thursday.
Yeah, but he's got names that he names.
Oh, no,
specific Mossad heads and honchos.
Yeah.
And he takes it a little further with the Bronfman sisters. And,
well, I told you that the Nexium thing was connected. I knew that there was a connection there.
How does anybody pronounce that Nexium?
It's kind of in a Haxor. So NXIVM, so it would be Nex, I, instead of the V, a U, Nexium. Yeah, it's cult stuff, man. I don't know. There's no other way to pronounce it. What I, as in listening to what he was saying, what I had missed or what I had completely incorrect was the hedge fund part about, like, hey, you got to send me some money and I'm going to blackmail you. That, of course, it makes no sense when you think that Wexner, the owner of Victoria's Secret and Express and L Brands, that he was what they traditionally call a front. So all he was is just sitting there, and maybe he was passing money off to Epstein. But even today, there's so many articles coming out saying whoever started this story that the guy's a billionaire. There's no evidence of that whatsoever, and that it was just pure blackmail for sexual deviance and sex crimes, which, if you think about it, we had Jimmy Savile, the BBC in the UK. A lot of the people who tried to uncover all of that by parliamentary order are now dead. Oops. That was horrific, with kids and orphanages and necrophilia and just unbelievable elitist crazy shit. But it happened. Then we have the Catholic Church with the clergy. Bishops knew. And this is no secret. Everyone agrees it actually happened, and lots of people knew, and no one's gone to jail. So for this to happen to a bunch of politicians and bankers, not so surprising.
So what politicians and bankers did this happen to?
Well, Bill Clinton, for sure.
I don't see Clinton in jail.
Not yet. Well, I think that's
back to the 40,000 sealed indictments.
I think this is part 2 of your clippage.
The Mossad incurred so many operatives that were involved with pedophilia under the Epstein ring and under the Naxium ring with the 2 Bronfman daughters that you're talking about thousands of people. Now, it also goes all the way up into the presidency. It goes into the Bush family, Bush Jr., Jeb. It goes into Clinton's, as we know, Hillary, Bill Clinton, who's a pathological liar to the nth degree, to Obama, who had a history of homosexuality and pedophilia, all the way down to the Bushes and beyond that. So what the Israelis did under the tutelage of 2 brilliant Mossad chiefs, Halevi and Yatom, both of whom used pedophilia as a honey trap to encapsulate any one of our operatives in America. Jeff Epstein was a willing operative. He willingly was involved in pedophilia. The Israelis knew that. They created his storyline. They made believe he was a billionaire. Wexner was the theoretical backup man to him. And ironically, he was in Bear Stearns, which was another corrupt Jewish firm that went under, along with Drexel Burnham, another corrupt Jewish firm. So we have a lot of corruption here, which goes all the way back to 9/11, when we had Jews like Silverstein, who had the lease to the World Trade Center. We had Lowry, we had Lauder, and we had Eisenberg, all of whom were involved in the stand down and the false flag of 9/11. So from 9/11 on, Trump understood that the Israelis had been involved in our intelligence service and in compromising America. He never forgot that. And what he did blatantly was to turn around, and on a certain day, he decided he was going to indict every one of the Mossad operatives, as well as the Israelis, on charges of pedophilia.
Yeah. Now, to answer your, I think, somewhat sarcastic question about what politicians,
well, sarcasm, it was, yes, go on.
There's been no priests arrested. No one was arrested in the BBC scandal with Jimmy Savile. So I'm not expecting.
Well, Savile was dead.
Yes, but I think it's pretty obvious that there were a lot of other names, just like this case. So yeah, most likely history shows nothing will happen. No one goes to jail. We don't learn anything else about any of this. That's very likely. Doesn't mean it isn't true. I mean, do you accept
that? It doesn't mean it is true.
But we have victims, just like the Catholic Church. I mean, do you believe that there was pedophilia going on in the Catholic Church?
Absolutely.
Okay. So it's not that far of a stretch to believe that this was going on.
But I don't believe it was organized the way this is. I think the Catholic Church
and
stuff
why do you think
was random.
Why do you think Pachenik would do this video if it's
well, for one thing, I think he went well, because you goaded him into it.
Now he says he did this to protect us, but really me. He doesn't know you. He doesn't listen to the show. But what you left out of the video is his conclusion, which I liked, which a lot of people are scratching their head over, is that Trump apparently, and I'll just paraphrase since you cut it out. I don't know why you cut it out.
But the thing was 7 minutes long. I cut it out because I got to get it down. I just wanted the core elements in there.
Well, I thought the
conclusions and the rest, you can bring that in. It's fine. Bring it in.
I thought what was interesting is he said Trump will use this, to stop the Israeli influence, or specific, let's just say Mossad influence, because Israelis and Jews and Mossad is not all the same thing. To stop the Mossad influence particularly in our Congress, but in other areas of government and who knows where else, and at the same time to put Israel on notice to make the deal with Palestine, which is something that Trump said before he even was president. He said that would be the biggest deal he wanted to do. It could be tough, but he think he could get it done. And so the thinking is that He says, okay, now that I've got your control mechanisms in our country gone, again, this is just the conspiracy.
He did say his conclusion was that Trump is going to do this, or it was to force Israel's hand to make the Palestine deal.
Yeah.
And the reason I probably left it out is because I have been hearing this in one form or another, how there's this president or that president. In fact, many of them were convinced that they actually made the deal.
Sure.
And it never happens. And I had when I was in Israel, one of my the editor of PC Magazine Israel was giving me a lecture about this, and he said that this is never going to happen because there's so much money that is being kind of a black market money that is going into distributorships for Coca-Cola and all these other operations that are. And there was one article in Time Magazine that was written about this. He says the only one ever done. I read it, and it's like there's such a corrupt thing going on that no one's going to bust up a good thing. It's a good thing. I mean, people are just cleaning up on this split. And I kind of bought into that. I think there's just nothing's going to come of this Israel and Palestine.
Okay. I do have some additional information.
I don't think that it was that. By the way, I don't think that I think Pechenik was. I don't know where he gets the idea that we're anti-Semitic or something to discuss any of this.
No. That's not what he's saying. He's saying the minute you do this, you will be branded anti-Semitic.
Okay.
And already, just from one tweet pointing to Steve's video, already I have several hate tweets, Jew hater, It happens really quick. Yeah, Jew hater, because I retweeted a video. Jew hater, anti-Semite, always the same with Mossad. Blah, 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 blah.
Is a Jew.
That's why he said, I can do the video. He said, Adam, you cannot do this because this hate will happen. He says, I don't care. So that's why. Now, I don't know if he did it, if he really, maybe he was planning this. It sounded to me in the back and forth we had that he had all this in his mind, but this came earlier than he thought. And I think the way he operates, now he's in 70s, and he doesn't monitor everything. I think the way he operates is he puts a couple things together, says, okay, Curry has it pretty much figured out. For whatever reasons, he likes what we're doing, or I don't know. I have no evidence he listens at all.
He doesn't listen to the show.
No, he still thinks, how's your radio show doing? He'll say to me. So that's great.
Yeah,
the radio show.
Although it could be just disinformation.
Who knows? But he was very specific in email, in text, on the phone. He says, you cannot do this. They will ruin your life. And I know that this happens. You can't do that shit. I know how this works. And lo and behold, just a retweet gets me already on Twitter. I don't care. But anyway, this has all been going on for a while, surrounding the Clintons at least. And I just wanted to play a cup and Dershowitz. These are kind of the only two things you can focus on at this point. Let's just go back to 2015. I pulled this clip from the archives. It may be circular. I think I saw the video of it circulating the web, but this was the Obama-Clinton State Department in 2015.
NBC News has obtained documents related to ongoing investigations into some disturbing allegations involving State Department personnel and at least one ambassador. A State Department memo says the ambassador, quote, routinely ditched his protective security detail in order to solicit sexual favors from both prostitutes and minor children. The memo also says a top State Department official directed department investigators to, quote, cease the investigation into the ambassador's conduct. It's just one of what another document describes as, quote, several examples of undue influence from top state officials. On Monday, a State Department spokesperson not confirm specific investigations.
I'm not going to talk about specific cases, but I can say broadly that the notion that we would not vigorously pursue criminal misconduct in any case, is preposterous.
A former investigator for the department's inspector general has complained to Congress and the media that the investigations have not been thorough because of the pressure from those high-level officials.
We take every allegation of misconduct seriously, and we look into it.
It was less than 6 months ago that another major internal investigation painted Hillary Clinton's State Department in a negative light. That scathing report on the failed diplomatic security procedures in the aftermath of the Benghazi attack.
What difference at this point does it make?
Oh, back when NBC was making great pieces. Nice little sound drop at the end there. Perfect. So that was Hillary's State Department. There were lots of scandals, lots of weird things going on. But even nuttier is this clip from Dershowitz. Now, he was implicated in this from the beginning. And this is also from 2015. This is a classic example of the truth wants to come out. It always does. Listen to Alan Dershowitz.
I will take action. I'm filing today a sworn affidavit denying categorically the truth. I'm seeking to intervene in the case. I am challenging her to file rape charges against me. I waive any statute of limitations, any immunity, because if she files a false rape charge against me, she goes to jail. The end result of this case should be she should go to jail, the lawyer should be disbarred, and everybody should understand that I am completely and totally innocent.
Did you hear it?
Yeah, denying the truth is something along those lines.
Yes. I want to play that again. Hold on a second. I want to rewind. I mean, it's such an obvious one.
I will take action. I'm filing today a sworn affidavit denying categorically the truth.
That's a good one. Yeah. Well, he was on Ingraham. I don't know if this is from Thursday or Friday, and he seems more nervous than he always seems a little jittery and a little odd, but now he seems pretty nervous, and he's really deflecting now away from Clinton. Well, it's just a 1-minute clip.
This same woman who accused Bill Clinton and Al Gore and Tipper Gore of being on Jeffrey Epstein's island, and the reports of the Secret Service.
Well, Bill Clinton did go to the island, right? Yeah, Bill Clinton did.
No, he was never on the.
But he never went on the. He was never there ever.
No, he was never there. He issued a statement the other day saying he was never on the island, and Secret Service records confirmed that he was never on the island.
There was discrepancies, though, Alan. Wait. There was discrepancies on other matters with Bill Clinton. He said he was only on 2 flights, turns out, or 4. It turns out there were 6. I mean, he said Secret Service was always with him. It turns out they weren't always with him when he was on Epstein's plane. So I wouldn't throw yourself in with Bill Clinton on this. Necessarily.
Let's talk about Al Gore. Let's talk about Al Gore.
Let's talk about Al Gore.
He claimed that Al and Tipper Gore were on the island. Not only did Al and Tipper Gore not know Jeffrey Epstein, but guess who Al Gore's lawyer was?
Anyway, clear.
Who was Al Gore's lawyer?
Oh,
David Boies, the same lawyer who claims that this woman made these improper sexual allegations. He could easily have just called his client, Al Gore, and said, Al, were you ever on Jeffrey Epstein's island? And he would have told her what he's told everybody else. No.
Yeah, I love that Kenneth Starr was also on Epstein's side, brought in to do the deal with the with the Costa
I have those clips, and it's actually kind of interesting.
Oh, excellent!
This is on Laura Ingram's show.
It's Ingraham.
I'm not using Ingraham. It's Kenneth Starr and he's talking about Acosta, and he's got a lot of. This is a long clip, but he's giving a lot of background, and it's very reasonable. He doesn't seem like a douchebag. And
now, just for the background, Kenneth Starr was the special prosecutor who investigated and prosecuted and I guess successfully got impeachment proceedings started for Bill Clinton.
He was investigating Whitewater.
Yeah, something completely different. Yeah, and
it went off the rails, which is the reason that everyone was concerned about the Mueller investigation, and which was more focused. And the Kenneth Starr's investigation of Clinton was a witch hunt.
Well, also, Ken Starr wound up going to Baylor. I think he was provost or something. I don't know what they call it.
I think it was the chancellor.
And he had to resign amidst all kinds of...
president, one of the two.
Yeah, it was all kinds
he resigned over Baylor he resigned over anomalies within the athletic department.
Yeah.
And Baylor's one of those schools that plays fast and loose, and with the football team in particular. And he got caught up in not taking action on some accusation between it's kind of like a job for somebody else. So he got ousted. But let's listen to him.
Labor Secretary Alex Acosta bowed to the liberal mob today. He'll be stepping down from his post next week.
Now, Democrats blasted him over a secret plea deal that he cut with alleged child molester Jeff Epstein's legal team. And that was done while he was serving as U.S. attorney in Miami during the Bush administration, of course, over a decade ago. Now, Acosta said it was the best deal he could strike, given the circumstances, the evidence, and the state prosecuting attorney's desire to kind of let this ride. So should have he resigned at all? Why did he resign? Joining us now is someone who represented Epstein years ago, former Whitewater Independent Counsel and Fox News contributor Ken Starr. Ken, was a plea deal really Acosta's best play in this circumstance? I mean, he said that Barry Kersher, the state prosecuting attorney, was not inclined to pursue the case against Epstein because, well, for a variety of reasons, some of which we just aren't privy to. What are your thoughts tonight?
Well, there is a real irony here. And by the way, Alex Acosta, I believe, is a person of complete integrity. He's an honorable guy. He took one for the team, obviously, today. But yes, I was involved in those negotiations. And it was Alex Acosta.
What the hell does he mean he took one for the team today? What does that mean?
He quit instead of letting it fester.
Oh, okay.
Complete integrity. He's an honorable guy. He took one for the team, obviously, today. But yes, I was involved in those negotiations. And it was Alex Acosta and the U.S. Attorney's Office who were playing tough. They were insisting on some conditions with respect to the plea agreement with Jeffrey Epstein. And we were arguing, and I personally argued before U.S. Attorney Alex Acosta and then higher ups in the Justice Department, that what was alleged in Palm Beach County, and which was under investigation by the county, were quintessentially state offenses, not federal offenses. So, Laura, you understand this. I was making a federalism argument. Don't federally criminalize this area of the law that really does belong to the states. It's a quintessential state offense with respect to sexual wrongdoing. But Alex ended up disagreeing with that. And so here's the irony. He was pushing for a harder kind of disposition, a tougher disposition, and we ultimately came to an agreement that everyone was satisfied with, but obviously what has since happened has happened.
Well, I didn't really hear anything super interesting. What did you like about that?
What was interesting, it was ironic. This really should have been a state case, and Acosta sticks his nose in there, and he makes a big fuss trying to get this guy on federal charges, even though there's no federal jurisdiction. And ironically, if he hadn't done that and just gave it to the state to let them do their own thing, which is the way it was headed, according to Starr, Acosta would have never gotten himself into this current jam that he's in, looking like a douchebag. He looked like a douchebag for trying to do the right thing.
Wow, you're really seeing a different picture than I am. That's okay, because I don't have any evidence that the state walked away from it. It was, in fact, it was the police chief who couldn't get the state to prosecute the guy. That's what I understand. And that's when
the point was, according to Starr, is that it wasn't a federal case, and Acosta made it one. Yeah. So now, how is he the bad guy and a lightweight or a screw up or something? Because he's actually pushing for more, stronger pushing against Epstein. That's the irony that is being pointed out here, is that Acosta's not the bad guy.
No. And it was interesting when because there was something that happened before Acosta resigned on Friday. And it was not your typical resignation. He was out on the lawn with the president, walking to the helicopter. It was not your typical thing. A lot of the typical words he would use, like great guy, he was great labor secretary. But what happened an hour before that? Did you even see the news? What happened when it comes to pedophilia?
What happened?
They arrested R.J. Kelly, and it was news. It all of a sudden it captured the news. Everyone was on it. It's like, and I said, oh well, there goes my thinking about Epstein, or this is the distraction I thought maybe. And within an hour later, boom, there's this highly unconventional resigning ceremony from Acosta. It's not how Trump typically does it. I don't think we have any example of a resignation like this.
The way Yamiche Sindor described it as she follows the Trump presidency close up. She says, or she theorizes, and I don't know where she gets this from, but it's an interesting idea, that Acosta was sent out first before he went out and gave his "I'm quitting" speech with Trump there. And it was a bit different, although we haven't been watching these things one after the other. She says that he was given the opportunity to go out there on his own press conference, or his apology tour, whatever it was. And if he performed well, then Trump would have insisted that he stay, but he didn't. He was a flop. And
I like that
because
take.
He was a flop. Trump said, "Okay, you're out. You can resign."
I like that take.
Did.
So all I'm saying is, just from my head's in a different place on this. That's okay. From my thinking, I'm like, actually, there's a couple events. Oh, there's the big distraction. And I remember, I'm still thinking today we're going to have hundreds of indictments instead of ICE raids. I haven't seen any ICE raids, so I don't know what's going on. But that's my thinking. It's like, here's the distraction. Let's move it all away from Epstein, because the news immediately moved away. We have a celebrity. We've got a perp walk. We've got R. Kelly. And then it swings around in rapid succession right back to Acosta. And then to add insult to injury, where I'm thinking, this is the last night, tonight. Yeah, they're going to get ready. They're going to go arrest hundreds of indictments. Then we get a blackout in Manhattan, which could not have been more perfect if you want to have people slip out the back, or if you just want to distract again from whatever news. It was just an interesting thing, the blackout in Manhattan.
Yeah, I have that second part of this clip I want to play.
Yeah, sure.
But after we do that, I want to read a note. I'm going to read this note before we play that about the blackout. This came through on Twitter or something, I guess through a laptop. And this is something I think you should you have some experience with. Meg Sarian writes, "Stuck on the 29th floor with no air conditioning in a fully glass apartment. It's been almost an hour. I'm losing my sanity. Send help." Linda C. responds, "Use the stairs." Meg responds to that, "The door to the stairs requires an electronic swipe. Once we get to the bottom, there is no way outside because there is no electricity. Also, there are no lights in the stairs."
Oh yeah. Oh, and how about restaurants? They couldn't do any, couldn't charge anybody anything.
Because they don't know how to use
Uber,
cash.
Nothing was working. And yes,
this is the dependency on technology without clear thinking. Technology should be like a convenience over maybe the traditional ways of doing things. I mean, doors need keys. They don't need electronic swipes.
No, you're absolutely right. It's hopefully we'll hear some more stories over the next few days of things that just did not work anymore. But for sure, it's Tina was out and she where was she? Anyway, I said she's a blackout in Manhattan, and I said, and this is why I always tell you to carry cash. I give her cash, give it $100, hold it in cash, just put that in your pocket. And then, she never holds on to it. It's like, well, it was easy to pay with it. It's great to pay with it. But the point is to have it in your hollow tooth. Just hold on to it. She was thinking about it a little more after the blackout last night.
There's one thing about using cash for your primary payments, which is, and people point this out, if you have a pocket full of cash and you're buying stuff, you actually know what you have a sense of what you're spending, as opposed to sticking a card in something.
Yes, she likes that, by the way. She likes that aspect.
Yeah, because it'll keep you from overspending it, because you put what is it 100 and what? And you bring out the $100 bill and you got a 20 maybe or whatever you're paying in cash. You really feel it. Mm-hmm. But if you just stick a card in, 140, who cares?
And just to reiterate, I married Tina for her money. I'm just the guy that will go to the ATM and get the cash. It's not like I've got her on some leash and I'm giving her money. This is my small contribution. Like, please hold on to that.
So anyway, let's play the second part of this, and then we'll talk about it a little bit.
Well, Ken, but now we learn, of course, that there's allegations of trafficking people across state lines. That would indicate, at this point, with apparently what the allegations are,
that this is now, of course, a federally triggered case because of the crossing state lines, correct?
That would be correct, Laura. But there were no allegations of crossing state lines in the Florida situation. So you're right. These are accusations. I mean, these are serious accusations. Obviously, every human being is entitled to basic human dignity, and so we will see what happens. But you're absolutely right, Laura. There was no suggestion of human trafficking, non-consensual use of drugs and the like in the Florida case, or the state attorney in Palm Beach County would have taken a very different look at the entire situation.
Okay.
And that's that.
All right. Well, there's some other elements that Pechenik did not discuss that are important, and they came to mind with the blackout in Manhattan, because we do have a confirmed pedophile in the Clinton camp, and that's Anthony Weiner. Anthony Weiner, who is also the husband. Did they divorce ever? I don't know if they finally got divorced.
I think so, yes.
The husband of Uma Abedin, the personal, as they call, body man for Hillary Clinton. And they're still together. They were just at the Earth, Wind, and Fire concert the other day, dancing awkwardly together in the audience. There was a lot going on around the Hillary emails, and then we had, and man, just remembering the show back in the day, every minute there was something funny or crazy about Anthony Weiner, who I've met and worked with personally, and we've discussed that at some length about what an asshole I always thought it was. But he's Carlos Danger, he's a pedophile, and he went to jail for it. So there's no argument. And he had a laptop, and the laptop was a big problem when it came to the, quote, Hillary emails. And it's the New York Police Department who confiscated the laptop initially. The feds swooped in, and there's a lot of stuff, a lot of reporting, what was on the laptop, a folder named life insurance, what was in the life insurance folder. Some say pedophilia videos. There's no proof of what was in there, but the New York Police Department, several of the officers definitely know it was there. There's plenty of reporting in mainstream that they got physically ill just from looking at some of the stuff that was on his laptop. And around that time, Comey comes out and doing something very odd. He talks about Hillary Clinton's poor choices in her email management, but just says, no, this is not something we're going to prosecute. And we kind of don't hear too much about the laptop anymore. And this year, 4 New York Police Department cops have committed suicide, 3 in the past 9 days.
The NYPD mourning the loss of another officer tonight. The officer dying by suicide today outside of a precinct on Staten Island. This is the 3rd officer in a little more than a week to take his or her life.
I have no idea why they say his or her life, because all 4 were male, and this last one was a deputy chief. Apparently, at least he, for sure, but maybe the others had seen what was on this laptop, and, again, just coming from a conspiratorial slant, who knows what's being covered up or who's being killed for whatever may be coming out. Or not, because as you will say, as my wife will say, Adam, I really love your stories, but it never happens, does it? So that's true. So far, it's never happened. But, oh, man, it's not hard to draw these lines. Not hard at all.
No, if you want to draw them.
Yeah, well, that's what I do.
I think it's personally impractical, but okay.
It's not that hard.
I like listening to the theories. I think they're. I object to the guilt by association mechanism that it's always employed, which is somewhat bothersome. We don't know that all these people are horrible pedophiles, but their names keep cropping up, and this. So I'm always thinking smearing. It's a smear.
Sure.
A targeted smear for some reason and someone's doing it for a purpose,
mm-hmm.
Political usually.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not. and I'm waiting. I'm still waiting for the 40,000.
Well, I never said 40,000.
No, you didn't. I've read 40,000 more than one or two times.
Yeah. Well,
the 40,000, mostly from the QAnon, now dead QAnon bullcrap disinformation operation. But it's been around, these huge numbers of,
Well, what's also pointed to in connection with the, again, I only have hundreds of indictments.
And what is a sealed indictment anyway?
It's an indictment that's ready to go that no one knows about, and they're going to pop it the minute. I mean, it's just like
nobody knows about it. How would you know that there's hundreds or 40,000 for that?
How would I know there's moon bases? It's like, come on, don't ask me this stupid shit to ask me that. Let's look at more New York police. Let's look at more New York. Bill de Blasio. Bill de Blasio's one of his employees. This was just this year, March 29th. The director of the Young Democrats of New York, the Manhattan Young Democrats, Jacob Schwartz, son of, I think, the elder Schwartz. Well, his dad was the New York counsel to Bernie Sanders' presidential campaign treasurer for, let me see, Cuomo. Anyway, his name is Arthur, and the kid was arrested for pedophilia on his laptop, young nude females between the approximate ages of 6 months and 16 engaged in sexual conduct on an adult male. It's just annoying that happens. It's just annoying that it's a Democrat, just annoying that it's in Manhattan, annoying that it's surrounding these people, so you can't draw too much from it. But when it comes to the sealed indictments, a lot of the websites that I look at point towards a 2017 executive order on December 21st, the executive order blocking the property of persons involved in serious human rights abuse or corruption. And what this essentially does is, if you are, I think you don't have to be convicted, but if you're arrested on charges, including the, let's see, I got to find this. If you're arrested on charges and you've been engaged in the activities described, I'm just going to scroll down for a second. Well, it's human trafficking. I can tell you paraphrasing, that's what it is. Then the U.S. government, by this executive order, not by law, but by the executive order, has the right to seize all your assets, all your property that we can get our hands on. And I remember reading in the latest Epstein indictment that they have said, okay, according to this executive order, we now seize all your property. I don't think they can seize the island. I don't know if they have any jurisdiction over that. But that's kind of where those thousands or hundreds that I know of sealed indictments comes from, is from that executive order, which has now apparently been used, at least in this case, against or with the Epstein incarcerate or arrest and indictment. So, there's just a lot of stuff, and you're right. I totally agree. I do not like just throwing names out there. But man, I have some experience in this area with anyone. If you're interested, go look up Dutroux, Dutroux, the Netherlands, Belgium. That's how ultimately the radio station I was working for got its license pulled, financing pulled, and virtually, not realistically, literally, but virtually burned to the ground after just talking to one journalist about one person who happened to be the Attorney General of the Netherlands at the time. So, it's all very annoying little things that all fit together. But we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
I do like that Pachenik confirmed my thinking and not yours.
Well, I thought Pachenik was off the deep end on that and a number of other things he's done over the year. As far as he's concerned, Kamala Harris will be the nominee for the party, which seems unlikely.
I haven't heard that one.
And what's another? He had a couple of other. He's got a couple off the wall things that sometimes you have to wonder.
Sure. Anyway.
Do I have anything else here?
But are there any ice raids
I think that's enough on this topic.
Yes, but are there any ice raids yet? This is what everyone's prepared. We have here. Let me.
Let's go to CBS New York and talk about some of these what the ice raids are supposed to do. This is the ice backgrounder from. If you're watching CBS local news, you'd be picking this up.
President Trump says the crackdown is meant to remove criminals from the country. CBS 2's Dave Carlin has some reaction from local leaders.
High anxiety in some neighborhoods where raids by Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, are believed to be coming Sunday. The possible wave of federal action in 10 major U.S. cities, including New York, focuses on criminals, said President Trump.
They came in illegally.
On Saturday, New York City leaders, including Council Speaker Corey Johnson, said those targeted by the dragnets should not open their doors to an agent who does not have a warrant.
We want you to know your rights.
Mayor Bill de Blasio again announced the raids will come without city support, including NYPD. The mayor sent out this tweet. If you or a loved one are approached by federal immigration enforcement in your home, on the street, or in public, remember, you have rights, and your city will help you fight for them. In a phone interview, Republican Congressman Peter King of Long Island told us something must be done about the estimated 11 million immigrants living in the country illegally.
I believe these raids, while nobody wants them, they're absolutely necessary. Everyone that ICE is going after, my understanding is they've already had their day in court. The judges have ordered them deported, so they have no right to be here in the country.
Cardinal Dolan, Archbishop of New York, brought up the topic at this noon mass before the St. Francis Cabrini Shrine. He said staffers with Catholic Charities are working this weekend, answering hotline calls and providing outreach.
We defend the right of a nation to make sure its borders are secure and its people are safe. But we also defend the right of people to be treated honestly, justice, and fairly.
There is concern among religious leaders that when houses of worship become safe houses, they aren't necessarily set up properly to become extended living spaces.
A sanctuary can't be limited to this particular building.
Catholic Charities volunteer Fanny Gomez spent today spreading a message that help is available.
To give them the rights to look at their paperwork and see what it is that they're missing in order to become residents.
But she says getting information to those who may need it is complicated by the fact that many who fear ICE this weekend are hiding out inside their homes until the expected raids peak and die down.
Yeah, what I kind of missed in that report is the $700 million that the Catholic Charities received in this latest round of border funding. Did they mention that in the piece anywhere?
No, and that's a very excellent point, because he did mention the Catholic Charities, but he never mentioned the fact that it's part of a corrupt system.
And he says, but a volunteer for the Catholic Charities, as if that's, the CEO of these outfits, they make $1 million a year.
Yeah, but that's not these particular ICE raids, as was pointed out only, I think, on PBS or maybe at the regular NBC report. These are all part of a deportation order that now these people, as Peter King says, they've already had these are people that went to court. It was determined that they were in the country illegally, and they were given deportation orders. Mm-hmm. And so the idea is, it's got nothing to do with I mean, I agree that should be mentioned, but the idea is we have a list of people that were told to report and get deported, and they've never showed back up. And that's what this is. And the concern is, well, somebody else might get mixed up in it. But this is not like just a random raid. It's not like, this old raid.
No, but if you look at Twitter right now, the hashtag ICE raid. Let me see, ICE raid. Yeah, hashtag ICE raid is trending. Let's see, we have pictures of Nazis with Pence's head on it.
Yeah.
Walking past the wall. This is all
court ordered.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
This is not a random raid or just out of the blue. I mean, these people, this is out of control, the Twitter verse.
Here's Pelosi, and just like Hillary Clinton and others, she was making sure you know your rights. But the thing she says in this 50-second clip in one of her press little conferences is really discouraging.
An ICE deportation warrant is not the same as a search warrant. If that is the only document ICE brings to a home raid, agents do not have the legal right to enter a home. If ICE agents don't have a warrant signed by a judge, a person may refuse to open the door and let them in. An administrative order of removal from ICE or immigration authorities is simply not enough. Families belong together. Everyone in our country has rights. Many of these families are mixed status families. We pray that the president will think about this. I would say again. Hopefully it's again.
Yes, everyone has rights. No, that's not true. You don't have the same rights if you're not a citizen. You can vote in a federal election, a general election. That's one right you don't have. Everybody has rights. No, it's not entirely true.
Well, the thing, again, I want to bring back in Pelosi in this clip, this is court-ordered deportations. It's like any deportation. It's like the situation, that you've experienced where somebody can't get into the country. Yeah. I mean, there's all these issues that are legal. They've been gone through. They went through the system, and these are court-ordered deportations, and they're made to look like they're not by the Democrats.
Yep.
I mean, they're making it look as though it's just random raids. Oh, let's go round up the people. Let's round them all up. And that's not the case in the least. And I think maybe one or two people reported it correctly.
It's dangerous because it incites a lot of hatred. I guess some guy was throwing Molotov cocktails at an ICE detention center, and then they wound up shooting him and killing him. Now this is trending as he's the martyr. This is the start of the Civil War.
The guy was a nutball.
Yeah, well, I'm just telling you what's going on. What
he was trying to light up a propane tank.
There you go.
Outside of a facility, which would have would have killed him. But
now, just to bring this to the heartstrings of America, there was it was two parts. It was very, very long yesterday. It was the migrant children border crossing hearing.
Oh, won't somebody please think of the children?
And I was kind of expecting, someone to get up there and talk about how, Pence and Trump personally had taken babies from wombs and incubators and thrown them on the ground and stomped on them. It was pretty damn close, actually. Did you see any of this? Because there was some very interesting stuff in it.
Probably. Okay. I don't know. I've seen so much stuff.
Well, this was Cummings, his panel. And,
I actually have one back and forth on this.
Well, I have a series, so just let me roll with this.
You do.
It started now. AOC, she had it all set up. Of course, she didn't have it set up. Her handlers, and she's slipping so badly that she isn't even pretending that she's doing the work. She isn't even pretending that these people are in her office anymore. She's reading everything from a script, including this little ditty.
Did they give her a what is it called, a script where you can skip logic script?
Yeah, they didn't have enough of the skip logic answers for when she got to the former director of ICE, who was the ICE director.
Homan.
Yes, Homan. But before any of that happened, this happened.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ocasio-Cortez.
Mr. Chair, I would like to be sworn in.
I'm sorry?
I would like to be sworn in.
Oh, all right. We usually don't require a swearing in but you want to be sworn in? Fine.
Yes.
All right. Okay. Do you stand up, please? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
Is it the truth?
I do.
You may be seated. Let the record
I'm glad you
reflect
caught this, because this is weird.
Well, there's a reason for
Ms. Ocasio-Cortez answered in the affirmative.
So the strategy was for her testimony now to be, she can always go back and say, I testified under oath that I saw women who were forced to drink out of toilets. I could not have lied about it. And so she goes into her testimony, and I only have the last.
Is this the toilet woman drinking out of toilets? These aren't toilets that they're drinking out of. It's just a system.
Yeah, it's
got a toilet attached.
It's irrelevant to the story. The reason she wanted to be placed under oath is for her to say, I was under oath. And I have to say, if you see the video, she's reading this. She's glancing over out of the corner of her eye. She's picking it up. She's doing a great job. She's getting to the climax where the tears are welling up. And then you can actually hear it right at the end of this clip. Someone faints. They keel over right near the door. You can actually hear audibly someone faints just by the door off to the side. So she's interrupted. Her entire demeanor is, and there's no tears. She leans over to...
He's irked by somebody stepping on her act,
and she doesn't get to finish it because her time was up. But here's how she was going with the act,
and that their sink was not working, and we tested the sink ourselves, and the sink was not working, and they were told to drink out of a toilet bowl. I believed them. I believed these women. I believed the canker sores that I saw in their mouths because they were only allowed to be fed unnutritious food. I believed them when they said they were sleeping on concrete floors for 2 months. I believed them. And what was worse about this, Mr. Chairman, was the fact that there were American flags hanging all over these facilities, that children were being separated from their parents in front of an American flag, that women were being called these names under an American flag. We cannot allow for this.
You can hear the American flag, the one she apparently hates. She doesn't love America. All of a sudden, no, American flag. And did you hear the little boom in the background there?
Yeah,
So someone faints and is gone.
She was working herself up.
She was ready for it. She was already over time. Cummings lets her do whatever the hell she wants. But then I didn't clip that. But then it's like, your time's up. You went over your time anyway. So I have a couple more clips, 3 only. So then it's what are you huffing about?
The woman is the worst.
And you know who was sitting behind her when she was testifying? The woman from Code Pink. And all these people are in the background.
Brother.
What's her name? The little
Yeah,
lady?
the Code Pink woman. She looks like a psychopath.
Yeah, she was there. And then all of AOC's curmudgeons are around. They're whispering in her ear. And so finally it's her turn to ask a question of Thomas Holman, the former ICE director. And this guy, you've probably seen a clip or two, was just not taking shit from anybody, and certainly not from AOC, who fumbles the script. There's no skip logic answer for her to go to. She's humming, doesn't want to, and I think she just really lost it on this one.
Family separation, the way that we have seen.
And I should preface this by saying the idea here, and you'll even hear her say, the staff of what? The Justice Democrats. No one in your office is doing this. This is all other people. These former Bernie bros who've put these actresses in, the squad actresses. And the idea is she's Nancy Drew. Nancy Drew has uncovered who is really responsible for writing this child separation law. This is the man. Look at him. He couldn't be more white and more horrible looking. He looks like an oaf. He's like Shrek.
Family separation, the way that we have seen it, where we take children away from their parents without due process, began last year under Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen. But I had to dig further, and our staff dug further.
I had to dig further, and our staff, what do you mean our staff? Isn't it your staff? It's our staff, because this is an operation that she's just an actress for. I'll shut up.
Nice catch on the
began
R.
last
I hate that.
Year under Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen. But I had to dig further, and our staff dug further. But where did this start within the administration? She implemented it. And we found a memo. Dates back to April 20th.
I can hear. Where did it start? Well, I'm Nancy Drew. I'm going to figure it out. I know exactly why you're
notice how she smacked her lips in satisfaction right in the middle of that?
This is one of my favorite performances by her. It truly is a great performance. There's no doubt about it.
And our staff dug further. But where did this start within the administration? She implemented it. And we found a memo. Dates back to April 23rd of 2018. Where there was an official recommendation to, quote, pursue prosecution of all amenable adults who cross our border, quote, illegally, even though this applied to legal asylum seekers in practice, including those presenting with a family unit between ports of entry in coordination with DOJ. Here is the memo that I would like to submit to the congressional record. April 23rd, 2018, subject increasing prosecutions of immigration violations.
Without objection.
And so I looked at this memo, and it seems like this is the source of it.
Woo!
And it seems as though, Mr. Homan, that you are the author.
Hey, Scooby, I think we found them.
And we'll provide it over. But I would like to note that here it says the official recommendation. There were 3 different options presented. The third included the option for family separation. This initiative would pursue prosecution of all amenable adults, including those presenting with a family unit. Mr. Homan, your name is on this. Is this correct?
Yes, I signed that memo.
So you are the author of the family separation policy?
I am not the author of this memo.
You're not the author, but you signed the memo.
Yes.
Well, you already hear. Did you hear her voice go? You're not the author, but you signed the memo. She expected to hear that he was the author. They told her, this guy did it. He's the guy, AOC. Go out
this is a screw up.
Nail him.
The family separation policy.
I am not the author of this memo.
You're not the author, but you signed the memo.
Yeah.
The memo?
A zero tolerance memo.
So you provided the official recommendation to Secretary Nielsen on for the United States to pursue family separation.
I gave Secretary Nielsen numerous recommendations on how to secure the border and save lives.
But it says here that you gave her numerous options, but the recommendation was option 3, family separation.
What I'm saying, this is not the only paper where we've given the Secretary numerous options to secure the border and save lives.
And so the recommendation of the many that you recommended family separation.
I recommended zero tolerance.
Now wait for it, because now she's going to blow it.
Which includes family separation.
The same as is with every U.S. citizen parent gets arrested when they're with a child.
Zero tolerance was interpreted as the policy that separated children from their
If I get arrested for DUI and I have a young child in the car, I'm going to be separated. When I was a police officer in New York and I arrested a father for domestic violence, I separated that father
Mr.
from his
Holman,
family.
with all due respect, legal asylees are not charged with any crime.
When you're into the country illegally, it's violation 8 United States Code 1325.
Seeking asylum is legal.
If you want to seek asylum, you go through the port of entry, do it the legal way.
What?
The Attorney General of the United States has made that clear.
Okay. Mr. Chair, the memo is submitted to the record for review.
Someone didn't inform her that this asylum seeking has to be done at a port of entry, and so the whole thing fell apart.
She's a fizzle.
Total fizzle, total fail. Next, we have Chuy Gonzalez. He's from Chicago, Illinois, Democrat, and his real name is Jesus. And he did a really despicable thing, and God bless Thomas Homan for just not taking it.
Mr. Homan, you have said that most immigrants are, quote, not criminals other than the criminal act that they do when they enter the country illegally. That is why I think we ought to revisit decriminalizing desperation. Striking sections 1325 and 1326 of Title 8 of the U.S. Code, the statutes that the administration has leveraged to separate thousands of children from their families. Mr. Homan, do you understand that the consequences of separation of many children will be lifelong trauma and carried across generations? Have we not learned from the internment of Japanese Americans? Mr. Homan, I'm a father. Do you have children? How can you possibly allow this to happen under your watch? Do you not care? Is it because these children don't look like children that are around you? I don't get it. Have you ever held a deceased child in your arms?
First of all, your comments are disgusting. I've served my country. I've served my country for 34 years.
I find your comments
this is out of
disgusting
control.
as well.
I've served my country for 34 years. And yes, I held a 5-year-old boy in my arms in back of that tractor trailer. I knelt down beside him and said a prayer for him because I knew what his last 30 minutes of his life were like. And I had a 5-year-old son at the time. What I've been trying to do my 34 years serving my nation is to save lives. So for you to sit there and insult my integrity and my love for my country and for children, that's why this whole thing needs to be fixed.
So that was really nice of Chewy there to say, hey, you racist. I guess because the kid wasn't white like you that you don't care. I mean, it's unbelievable to say these things. I was flabbergasted.
This was showboating.
Yeah, but
he's just purchasing. He thinks he's a hotshot by doing this.
Well,
I've never seen this guy perform before. He's an idiot. This Garcia guy.
So what did come out of the hearing was the three things that need to change. And, you've heard a lot of, this could be changed in 15 minutes. It turns out it could be fixed pretty simply. And the one thing that there was, didn't clip it, there was agreement that if families are detained in a family detention center for 40 days, which is the amount of time it currently takes for a family immigration lawyer to be assigned to their case, that there is a 99% success rate of the families returning with their attorney to a hearing for asylum. Now, of course, this is a very small group that is actually admitted, but instead of the almost 0% people who were let loose and come back for their hearing, 99% when they are held in detention for at least 40 days. Now, for a number of reasons and rules and regulations, the Flores Agreement stuff that is, I don't think we need to go into here, families really only are able to stay in these detention centers for 20 days, and so the whole thing is just a big cluster. But Jim Jordan asked Thomas Homan to give the three things that need to change in order for this crisis at the border to, not to be over, of course, but to subside. And the guy said it multiple times throughout this 4 or 5 hour session. So I just wanted to wrap up with that. It's pretty short.
We're the ones that have to change the law. So give us that recommendation a fifth time, the three things that we got to do.
If we would close the loopholes in the TVPRA where children in Central America are treated the same as children in Mexico.
This I didn't know, that there's a difference in the status of children seeking asylum from Mexico versus other South American countries. But that seems to be a problem.
If we would change the Flores settlement agreement so we can actually detain families in family setting long enough to see a judge and plead their case. And if we can change the rules of asylum so it makes more sense so 90% of the people don't pass the first interview and a lot fewer pass in front of a judge, those three things would make a big difference on the border and decrease the illegal entry.
Because those three things go to the heart of the matter. They go to the incentive. Is that right?
They go to the incentive along with the other things, such as talking about abolishing ICE, having no detention, free education, free medical care, citizenship for those who are here illegally. When you keep offering incentives for people to come, sanctuary cities, come to this country, you'll be protected from ICE. As long as you keep having this language, more people who are vulnerable people are going to keep trying to come.
Those kind of statements made by Democrats in the United States Congress or in positions of influence in this country, they have an impact, don't they?
They have a significant impact.
There you go. And there it is. Stop talking like it's all going to be okay, and then these people will not come. So harsh, so un-American, Adam. Yes, I know.
There's a theory going around on the right-wing talks, or maybe some other group. I can't remember where I got this from. I don't have a clip. I was looking for it. That Trump is leveraging this to the hilt because all the evidence shows that he's not deporting nearly half of what
Obama did.
Mm-hmm. And he wants to keep this thing going so he can use it as a campaign issue because he knows he's got the Democrats by the balls here, by the short hairs, as they'd like to say, because the public at large doesn't go for this. They're not all in on the sanctuary cities. They hate it. And they hate people like the ones who just ambushed. There was a little tete-a-tete with Biden. And I don't have this is the one where the people are taking this because Biden says we got to separate families, but he said it accidentally. And they think that was I have a bunch of Biden gaffes, but this is the one, this is a short clip where it's hard to hear, but you'll be able to hear the chant. And Biden's just talking to somebody about, don't you think all deportations should stop? And then Biden's not going for it. He's saying, no, people need to be deported who need to be deported. I mean, it's just what are you supposed to do?
How can he still be the front runner? It makes no sense.
And so then they came up with this little chant, which I just thought was a gem if we can hear it.
All deportation or detention. I would make sure that every single...
Will you apologize for the 3 million deportations under the Obama administration?
No. What I will...
3 million deportations under the Obama administration!
Wait, 3 million deportations under Obama administration? Is that what they're singing?
It goes 3 million deportations under the Obama administrations. Apologize now. Apologize now.
Deportations
and Biden
under
is there. He's flat-footed.
It's great.
Obama administration. Apologize now. Apologize now. 3 million deportations. Deportations under the Obama administration. Apologize now.
Well, we'll keep our Joe gaffes for a little bit later because I'd like to thank you for your courage and say in the morning to you, the man who put the C in children that we need to think of, John C. Dvorak.
Well, in the morning to you, Adam Curry. In the morning to all ships at sea, boots on the ground, feet in the air, subs in the water, and the dames and the knights and the dames and the knights out there.
And in the morning to our trolls. Hey now, trolls. Good to see y'all in the troll room. And noagendastream.com is where you can find your brethren and sistern. If you're a troll, you belong there. You can listen to the show live.
Belong in the cistern.
Yeah, brothers and cisterns. You can troll along with everybody else in the chat room. That's why we call it the troll room. But there's also a lot more happening on noagendastream.com. Tons of great shows, fun things to participate in. Definitely check it out. And also a big in the morning to someone who I'm pretty sure is no longer listening to the show, but you never know. Alexander Norrie. Now, we were looking for artwork for episode 1154, 1,154 episodes. Goldfish Invasion was the title of it. And we really didn't find anything appealing that came in art-wise. And so we went back and, this was image number, I think it was image number 4,000. That's how old it is. Right now we're at the, let me see what we're at. We're at over 14,000. And this was somewhere in the, somewhere
it was
in
about 5 years ago.
Yeah, 4160 or something. And it was a pair of shoes. We had talked about the Nike shoe, so it was a pair of shoes with the ISIS slogan on it, which for some reason seemed appropriate. I think we were just tired.
No, it was appropriate.
I was tired. It was a rough show. We had a rough start.
Well, yeah, we had worked an extra hour.
Yeah. Well, I did. You just
I just sat here and groused.
I got a nice note from a guy who does audio for bands. He says, "Oh man, I know exactly how you feel. See, imagine this: when something goes wrong with the band, with their PA, and there's a lot of drunk people going, 'Hey man, get the band back on. Just plug it in. Jiggle the handle, man.
Plug it in.'"
Imagine. So he was like, "Oh, I know how you felt. I know.
Find the on and off switch, you doofus."
So it is the plight of the audio engineer when it goes wrong. Although I do appreciate having the troll room there because I think the adrenaline, once they get me pissed off enough and I start cussing, then the brain somehow it kicks in and I do find the solution eventually. So it's a match made in hell. NoAgendaArtGenerator.com is where you can find all the artwork that we use. Also, everything that's submitted, which is much more than we can ever use in the show artwork, which is fantastic because it really pops. Not a lot of shows change their artwork. We love doing it because then it's like, oh, there's something new. Click, boom, another person's listening. Also, it's used on T-shirts and mugs at noagendashop.com. And it's a great part of our value for value network. People contribute in many ways. Luckily, many producers, especially the executives and associate executives, send us financial support, and we'd like to thank our top donors for today's episode.
Yes, Doug and Sand Sailor. Is that right?
Doug the Sand Sailor.
Oh, Doug the Sand. What am I thinking?
Mm-hmm.
What am I reading?
I don't know.
Doug the Sand Sailor in Norfolk, Virginia, $480.48. He's a top donor, number one on the hit list. We have two executive producers. ITM, long time. And by the way, nobody donated the Bastille Day donation.
Now, we had several donation options, and I think that's probably what did us in on this. We had Bastille Day. It's Mac and Cheese Day. It's Nude Day, which I'm celebrating. And it was also 33 times 33 plus 33 plus 33 is 1155. No, it just didn't see much of it.
Well, the Bastille Day was the one. I mean, most of them were just open donations, except for the 33. We got 40 $33 donations.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's not too bad.
ITM, long time no love. John was right about some of the producers are out gallivanting about the country on trains for the summer.
Yes,
I did so the show prior to his mentioning it. he also, I guess, took a train ride on a nonstop from Virginia to Florida. A 12-hour trip took about 24, but I was able to, by the way, that again reminds me of the story of the train, or the cross-country train Amtrak, that was 2 days late.
Hey, do you know my neighbor, Steve? Told you about Steve?
Steve.
So,
yes, Steve.
So we had him over the other night, and Steve told me that he took the Amtrak from Austin to Chicago. He says it was fantastic. He says it takes 21 hours. You get your own sleeping cabin with bunk beds.
Yeah, you have to buy that.
Well, yeah, you buy it, of course. But it's your own little home, your own little house. They got 24 hours of food.
It's got a TV set in it.
He says TV. He was smoking his vape. He said it was great. I got there 21 hours later. He could stick his head up to the observation deck to look around. It's like, no, he says it's about the same as EasyJet, as Southwest. It's worth it.
Yeah, except for the time. Now, it's something I remember one time I was in New York I was in Washington, D.C., and I had to go down to an event in Atlanta. And so I had to spend either another night and then take the airplane down to Atlanta, and I'd have to spend a night in the hotel, or I found that the Crescent, which is a famous train that runs from New York all the way down to New Orleans.
Sounds like a commie train.
The Crescent.
Yes.
And I could get on that thing in Washington, D.C. at Union Station, and it was a night train, so I could sleep on it, and I'd wake up the next day in Atlanta, so that I saved the cost of a hotel room and the airplane, and it was actually cheaper.
There you go.
There was really zero time difference in terms of when I would have gotten there and everything in between. And I found that to be a very interesting idea. They should run more of those trains.
Oh my God! Woo! Listen to that horn!
This concludes your FOMER segment.
A 12-hour trip took about 24, but I was able to he continues. I was able to bring my car, and it was overnight, so it was well rested. What kind of train is he bringing his car on? It sounds like something in Europe. Clean, comfortable, and they do have those in Europe. And courteous, a pleasant experience and all, but because I got a stateroom, they had was an absolute necessity for my son, pricey.
Yeah.
In addition to supporting the best podcast in the universe, humbly and selfishly beg for karma as I prepare for my final exam in immunology, taking for the second time. I am doing this online schooling, which is quite expensive and hard to follow. Yes.
Yeah, I bet.
The exams are proctored online for even more money. I don't think it's worth the money or effort. I'm an old, worn-out, busy, lazy, ADHD procrastinator.
Hey, you could be a podcaster. What are you messing around with immunology
you
for?
blew it.
Yeah, this
but apparently
podcasting's for
also
you.
a self-flagellant onanist in need of something to do as
I see.
What?
No, as I was going, he's retiring from the Navy. I get it.
Something to do as I approach my exodus from the Navy. I still have a handful. Don't read ahead. I still have a handful of years left, but I'm trying to keep my eyes on the prize while avoiding women because MGTOW.
No, MGTOW.
MGTOW. I have no idea of my accounting, but I am already a knight. $480.48 is 2 sets of 3 boobs. 33 somehow. Like an old Total Recall movie, but twice as good. And in honor of Nude Day, there you go.
Yeah.
As always, keep up the good work. Please karma for me and any Obama stutter song. Doug there's a bunch of those. Doug the Sand Sailor. Oh, I get it. On a ship in a shipyard.
MGTOW, MGTOW, men going their own way. It's a movement that I think we've discussed.
I've been watching you.
No. Come on, where was I? No. Hey, listen, I love you back.
You've got karma.
I remember.
It's a good one, right?
Yeah, that's an excellent one.
Thank you, Doug.
Dennis Adams, 33333, and his one comment is ITM.
Well, I guess we'll do this for him. Let me see.
In the morning, por la mañana, le matin, a morgen.
ITM to you.
Danielle Williams in Mount Shasta, California, 22233, be associate executive producer. Couldn't miss the magic number 33 and Mac and Cheese Day donation opportunity. This donation will allow my smoking hot husband to join the knights and dames of the NA Roundtable. Please knight him Sir Jeff of the 5 Seasons. That's coming up. Thank you for your courage. Jingles, shut up, slave, and pew pew.
How wonderful. That's so nice of you, Danielle. Well, of course, and we look forward to welcoming your man to the round table later on.
Shut up, slave.
A fan favorite.
If you ever lose that clip, we can just do it.
And no, I don't think so. It's so special.
Pew, 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 pew. Ashley Byer in Louisville, Kentucky, 20723. And she sent a note in. And she used 2 or 3 different pens to write.
I'll try not to read ahead.
ITM and TYFYC for all the hard work and hours you two put into when deconstructing. This is all written, by the way, so it's going to in deconstructing the media news stories. It is greatly appreciated. Please accept my donation of $207.23. I've listened for many years, and it has been a while since I've donated. I've had a monthly going on with a lot of 33s pop. Oh no, I said the reality is I've had a lot of 33s pop up in receipts. This happens a lot.
It's called synchronicity.
Looking at the time and nobody, these random numbers, so I figured it was time to donate. Recently, I meant is to get my. Oh, she meant to get her hearing checked since it started to deteriorate. And when looking at my MRI, the radiologist noticed abnormal blood vessels in my brain.
Uh-oh.
By accident, they found that I had something Maya disease, a rare cerebral disorder caused by narrowed arteries in the brain. And I had over the past few months has been that and a lot of tests and things to get this diagnosis correct. The No Agenda show has helped get me through many difficult times during my for the last few months. I found out I will need brain surgery on July 23rd.
Oh boy!
So I'm counting on the best podcast in the universe to help me during my recovery. I'm still working on my damehood, so hopefully this donation can help go towards fixing Adam's air conditioning. When was that?
Oh, no, that was last weekend when it broke.
Oh, it was last weekend?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Living in the Ohio Valley in Kentucky, I know it's firsthand how hot and humid it can be. Please give me some recovering karma on my way to the upcoming brain surgery.
No, of course, and you need
fingers crossed.
Well, you need to check in with us. Let us know how it went. That's what needs to happen, or have someone else let us know, please.
Love and light to you both, Ashley Eisner Bayer.
All right, everybody, let's give Ashley some big brain karma.
You've got karma.
Mickey Keck, 20713. Love the newsletter. Please wish my son Jason a happy 21st. And we got that on the list.
Jason's on the list.
Keep up the good work. De-douche us and give us some goat karma.
I know why you're. It's amazing how many how many different spellings there are of de-douche. It really is fun to watch. So, of course, we'd love to do that.
You've been de-douched. You've got karma.
Yes, it's quite amusing. Mike Lamb, $200. Hi, John and Adam. No karma or jingles needed. It's been a while since I donated due to a new human resource.
It worked.
Just wanted to give some value for value. Keep up the good work. Signed, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
That'll be our last associate executive producer. And that's our group of producers and executive producers for show 1155, which is 33 times 33 plus 33 plus 33.
And thank you to this group who forever shall be categorized together as a group as they are the executive producers and associate executive producers of the No Agenda podcast, episode 1155. You'll always be able to remember it because it occurred on Bastille Day 2019. These credits are real. They're no different from the credits in Hollywood. That's why we bring them to you at the beginning of the show, not in our other segment, which is also important, but that's everyone $50 and above. So thank you very much. Use these credits wherever you think they'll be valuable. It seems to work on LinkedIn for getting jobs and also for social standing on these social networks. And please, for those of you who would like to be in a group like this, remember, you can do that for our Sunday show, and all you have to do is go to
Dvorak.org/NA.
And now that you've got all the latest train travel tips, you've got to go out there and propagate.
Our formula is this. We go out, we hit people in the mouth. Order.
Shut up, slave.
Shut up, slave.
I want to mention something about LinkedIn.
Okay.
So I canceled my executive subscription, which gave you all these extra features. Because LinkedIn, I always would I would back up my contacts every so often, but I went for a while without doing it, and I did it recently, and I noticed that the backup's no good. It just has names. There's no phone numbers. There's no addresses. There's nothing but names and maybe a company. That's it.
Really?
I used to always back them up, and I have the email addresses, which you could use. And if you wanted to go to another system, you want to say, there's another computer.
Oh, data portability is what you're talking about.
Which is always expected. I can do that with my MailChimp stuff. I downloaded a list of all the contacts, and it's fine. I got everybody, all the information's there. Now, all of a sudden, out of the blue, LinkedIn doesn't give you anything more than just a bunch of names.
Wow.
I'm not paying extra money for anything from this operation if they're going to pull that scam.
Okay.
Where's my email addresses? Where's my portability? I don't see it. It's to download nothing. I might as well just, they have to go back into their system to get someone's email address when I have my own address book.
Yeah, it's the Silicon Valley Roach Motel.
No kidding.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
So they lost. I was paying too much anyway. My wife would go, what's this? I said, it's the LinkedIn thing. I find it useful.
I am calling Mimi after the show and playing that for her. She'll be like, oh my God, he nailed it. So uncanny. That's my voice.
I do it at the dinner table too. So, so now I'm right. She's right. I'm not spending money per month to give these guys for what? What am I getting? Funny Nothing. I never got a job from LinkedIn.
Funny thing is, Mimi does all the expenses for the show. She'll call me up and say, why are you still using that? She gives me shit about using stuff. Stop doing that.
Yeah.
Oh, man. She keeps us on track.
This one, I had it. I'm not, it's just not worth it. I'm not going to, I'm probably going to phase out and probably quit the whole thing eventually because it's just not a good system since Microsoft bought them.
I think there are two Adam Curry accounts. One dates back to whenever that's first started. Maybe that was in the 90s still, late 90s. I guess, did they start then, LinkedIn, or did it start in the 2000s?
I think maybe.
I'm not sure. Maybe for sure around 2005 it was there. But anyway, I just got so fed up with the thing and people building their profile. I'm like, I got no time for this. And I'm glad I didn't because it seems like you're only facilitating them. And, I'm not looking for a job, and I'm quite sure I will never get hired for a job anyway. All you got to do is listen to this show. I'm like, nope, we don't want that guy. Don't want him in the organization. So ever since I became a maximalist, I'm tracking the Bitcoins. It's been an interesting 2 weeks with a high of almost 14,000 today. Big drop down to the mid 10,000s. In fact, it's about 10,600 right now. Who knows what the reasons are? It does seem to go with the Fed's decisions or their implications. When the president says something, whenever there's a threat of perhaps not cutting interest rates as much as they say they might, if at all, Bitcoin seems to go up. When things seem to be going good with the United States, it seems to be the enemy of the United States or the United States dollar. But this did come up this week on the the Federal Reserve Board meeting notes, and the Fed chair, Jerome Powell, was asked a question about crypto and Bitcoin specifically in regards to the United States dollar and more.
To return to the question that Senator Perdue had asked you about the impact of a cryptocurrency system on our reserve currency in the world, particularly in the United States reserve currency, which has, as you both indicated in your conversation, I think the United States has benefited from our currency being the world's reserve currency. If a cryptocurrency system were to become prevalent throughout the globe, would that diminish or remove the need for a reserve currency in the traditional sense? I think.
And by the way, what an asinine, stupid question to ask. But okay, I whoever this was, I like that they asked it.
In the traditional sense?
I think things like that are possible, but we really haven't seen them. We haven't seen widespread adoption. I mean, Bitcoin is a good example. Really, almost no one uses Bitcoin for payments. They use it more as an alternative to gold, really. It's a store of value. It's a speculative store of value.
Now, this is something that I've argued against for many years before I saw the light. And here's the chair of the Federal Reserve Board saying it's a store of value just like gold. Whoa!
Like gold. So we don't have, and people, of course, have been talking about this since cryptocurrencies emerged. But we haven't seen it. But that's not to say we won't see it. And if we do see it, yes, you could see a return to an era in the United States where we had many different currencies and, in the so-called, I guess, national banking era.
Now, that I found interesting, and I wanted to ask you about it, because the way I see it, if Bitcoin truly became the international system of trade, or anything for that matter, I'm pretty sure the guns would come out. There's no way... Certainly Trump will never let that happen. But do you know anything about this period when we had all kinds of different currencies in the United States?
Well, yeah, that was everybody had pretty much their own state currencies. There was city currencies, there were bank currencies, and they were all over the place in the 1800s.
I didn't know that in the U.S. we had a whole bunch of them. I didn't know that.
Oh, there was a slew of them. They're very collectible.
Well, I know we have the farmers market wooden nickels. We have that. It's money. It's cut out of wood. It's cool. Anyway, I am a maximalist. I do believe in Bitcoin. I think it already is a unit of trade. In you. I think it is a unit of international monetary trade and transfer because I'm using it as such. We'll see. But this is quite from where Bitcoin came from. This is quite a statement from this guy to say, it's kind of like gold. Like, whoa, all right, store of value. That's a first.
Yeah, it is. Gold's up to $1,400 an ounce.
Well, you recall that I had a whole bunch of gold at $700 and was saying buy gold, buy gold. Now, unfortunately,
so you must have made out like a bandit.
No. That was after the first divorce. It wasn't so great anymore.
Oh,
Nope, not very smart. It's all right. I'm a podcaster. Remember?
So you listen to Kamala Harris every so often. You're a podcaster, and once in a while she gets on a roll. And it's like you don't hear it too often, but when she does, it's something to listen to. Here, listen to Kamala on a roll. I got a quiz for you.
I want the real thing, ladies and gentlemen, not just superficial things. I want a Department of Children and Youth. I don't want to just talk about Medicare for all, although we need it. We need to talk about the chemical policies and the environmental policies and the food policies and the agricultural policies that are making us so sick. And I don't just want to talk about race-based policies, because if you're just talking about race-based policies, you're leaving open the question of whose fault that is. We need reparations, and we need reparations because reparations do more than pay money. What? They are spiritual power. They are inherent mea culpa. culpa. They are an acknowledgement of a wrong that has been done, a debt that is owed, and a willingness to pay it.
Whoa.
And in addition to that, ladies and gentlemen, we need to do more than just endlessly prepare for war. And we need to do more than just say things like, we need to bring the boys home. We need to challenge the underlying forces that make all this darkness inevitable. We need to challenge the military-industrial complex. We need to talk about war as too big business. We need a Department of Peace.
This can't be Kamala Harris. Who is this?
Oh, I'm sorry. That was Marianne Williamson.
Wow, the ADOS candidate. Holy crap.
Yes. I'm sorry. Here's Kamala Harris in her normal. This is her being all fired up. This is Kamala in South Carolina.
South Carolina.
First of all, John, that was a really good one. And I'm sorry if I kind of blew your punchline, because I realize now that you were going to goad me along into believing that was her. But wow, Marianne Williamson, way to go. Yes, no, I was like, she has a cold or something. This doesn't sound like Kamala at all.
Yeah, there was
It was
I
good.
knew it was a close. It was going to be a close call on whether you'd catch it, but you caught it really. You should have.
Well, I mean, I can't believe what she's saying, but to believe Marianne Williamson is now my new candidate.
Well, she was before because of the candles. Now
let me play Kamala. Let me play Kamala in South Carolina, because that's going to give you the
here's
contrast.
What Kamala sounds like.
The contrast.
South Carolina.
Girlfriend.
Oh, it's good to be in the Palmetto State. Thank you all. Thank you. I just want to start by thanking you, South Carolina Democrats, because y'all have been holding it down. You've been doing what needs to get done. And it ain't easy. You make it look easy, but I know it's not. And I know that for everyone here, this is personal to you. You dedicate time from your lives where you have so many other obligations, but you keep giving and giving and giving.
What a loser. I got to hear Marianne Williamson again. I'm sorry. This is my new candidate.
I want the real thing, ladies and gentlemen, not just superficial things. I want a Department of Children and Youth. I don't want to just talk about Medicare for all, although we need it. We need to talk about the chemical policies and the environmental policies and the food policies and the agricultural policies that are making us so sick. And I don't just want to talk about race-based policies, because if you're just talking about race-based policies, you're leaving open the question of whose fault that is. We need reparations, and we need reparations because reparations do more than pay money. They are spiritual power. They are inherent mea culpa. They are an acknowledgement of a wrong that has been done, a debt that is owed, and a willingness to pay it. And in addition to that, ladies and gentlemen, we need to do more than just endlessly prepare for war. And we need to do more than just say things like, we need to bring the boys home. We need to challenge the underlying forces that make all this darkness inevitable. We need to challenge the military-industrial complex. We need to talk about war as too big business. We need a Department of Peace.
That's right. Let's get candles and bathwater, and let's vote for Sage.
Now, I did pull from her thing, her ending it's a 3-second end of show ISO possibility, because I think it works at the end. And this is the way she finishes. This is the thanks you much clip.
Thank you very, very, very much. Thank you.
She's my new candidate. I'm all in on Marianne Williamson. I already liked her. I've already been a fan of some of her stuff. Not a fan of her first performance at the debate, but oh man, she's great when she's fired up. She's hitting all my buttons.
Okay, well that was one opportunity for I want to go with the ISOs, so that's one of them, which I like.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
I think it's a good general one.
It's a dynamite.
I have the other one, which is not really good for the end of the show, but I thought it was funny. This is part of the Biden gaffe collection. This is President Tump.
President Tump.
Yeah, I'm sure you have the whole collection. I have it too.
Okay,
there's a lot.
The last one is the Cummins comment during that series of clips that you had, and this is the banging ISO.
Okay, that's why I was banging.
I think at end of show.
Thank you very, very, very much. Thank you.
I think that's the one. I mean, that's the way you end a show.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Good night.
I like the banging one, but it wouldn't be as good.
Very funny. Oh,
that's why I'm banging.
You're banging. My neighbor just fired up his, what's that thing called?
Jet?
No. No, it's the, why can't I think of it? It's with
leaf
the C.
blower.
No, it's like the pickup truck.
Lawnmower.
It's the pickup truck sedan. It's like the mafia car. He's got a glass pack muffler and everything. It's
glass pack.
Come on, what is that thing? It's El Camino.
A motor.
El Camino.
Oh, he's got an El Camino?
He's got a classic El Camino. Here,
Wow.
let me turn off the noise gate.
That's
he already left. Wait.
What the mob used to use in the Bay Area.
See if I can turn it off. Here we go.
Used to drive El Caminos if you're in the mafia.
Listen.
Ooh, sounds good.
That's the glass pack, baby. I have no idea what that means, but my dad used to say it all the time. So just glass pack muffler, it's the best. Do they even make those anymore?
They probably do.
Oh, nice though. El Camino, beautiful. You know who else? You know who loves Kamala Harris is Rosie O'Donnell. Although she really wants to vote for Elizabeth Warren.
Your party, the Democratic Party.
But this was a 10-minute interview that Rosie O'Donnell did with the Cuomo kid. That Rosie is known for being a comedian. 10 minutes. She didn't crack a single smile, not a single joke, nothing funny at all.
Most comedians are morose.
Oh, yes, morose is a great descriptor.
Your party, the Democratic Party. Where is its head versus its heart? Because you can't want Joe Biden and all of these ideas that are being pushed out by the persons in second, third, and fourth position currently in the polls at the same time. Where are you guys?
I agree. I think that Joe Biden should say, I'm going to sit this one out. I'm going to be an elder statesman and I'm going to advise. And then whoever is the nominee, I think, should think about how to best use somebody with the experience that Joe Biden has in all these years of politics. But he's not the future of the Democratic Party. And I think we have now until we get a nominee to figure out who that person is. And in my opinion, it's either Elizabeth Warren or Kamala Harris.
Well, you backed Warren,
yes.
Right? Is that fixed? Or are you open to either one being the Warren or Harris?
Now listen to this.
Rosie's in.
Yes, that either one of them, I would be very thrilled to stand behind. I'm really for Elizabeth Warren. I think her plans that she has for just about everything and all that she did with the big banks and corporate.
Yeah, think long and hard, Rosie, because she didn't do shit.
Shakedowns. She was a leader in so many ways and still is. And I think she's formidable against Trump and all of the money that she's raised from non-lobbyists. Mm-hmm. You know, it's pretty astounding to me what she's been able to do.
Nothing. I still get robocalls. All these things. Her leadership and I can't come up with a single example. But no, she's done nothing.
Now that you mentioned Cuomo.
Uh-oh.
He also had on Bill Maher.
Oh, boy.
And Bill Maher is obviously all in for Biden. So we have a little battle here.
The Democrats have a huge field.
Yeah. Oh.
What do you see in the field?
Well, first of all, too many people is what I see in the field. That alone looks silly when you have 23, 24 people. And some of them are, I don't even know what their raison d'etre is for running. I've asked them. They've been on the show. I'm like, why you? Right off the bat, we're stumped. You know.
Do you believe that if you have so many, that means you have nobody?
Well, I just think look, Donald Trump should have been someone who made the Democrats go, wow, we got to get serious now. We got to cut out all the nonsense that made us lose the election last time. And I don't think I've seen that so far.
The midterms didn't mean
the
that for you?
identity politics and the cutting each other up. Obama said about a month ago, he said circular firing squad. He invoked that phrase about the Democrats. You'd think with Donald Trump as president and the existential state we're in this country that they would not need to have that warning be given. But, you know, I hope Obama does that again. Now, he is the one person who has the, the authority, both as the ex-president and as a rather beloved president of recent vintage, who can do that, who can knock Democrats' heads together and say, look, we've got to get serious. Stop carping at each other. Joe Biden, for example, the whole thing with the kissing the back of the head and the Eskimo kisses. And who cares? You know, if this is the guy to beat Trump, it is unconscionable to be pecking at him this way in the beginning.
And
He's
the
not
president was very helpful in that also. He went after Biden for that, and the media picked it up. They ran with it. It got traction.
And how he gets away with it with his history of real sexual assault when this guy, he's just being Joe. I mean, okay, you don't like it. It's creepy. I get it. Sometimes people do things to me that are too close and I don't like it, but that's life.
Hello, hashtag Epstein.
That's life.
That's life. That's life on the island, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks, Bill. Now
he's all in with Biden, and he doesn't like anything, but saying anything about it. I've been talking about this at the dinner table about what's going to have to happen, and because I mentioned this, I think in one of the shows, and I may have said something on the tweeters that they're going to have to dope Joe up.
Well, they did
for the next
next debate. Did you see?
And I mean, I'm not talking. I've already figured out some of the formulas that you could use. You could give him like 8 shots of testosterone, which will make a huge difference. Also, the testosterone, but then they're going to have to give him some, because he can't be Sleepy Joe, the sleepy guy.
No.
He's got to be pumped up. So they're going to give him Adderall. Probably.
Vyvanse has timed release delayed, so it'll be a little more consistent. So it won't have peaks and valleys. He'll just be constantly up.
See, this is going to be the problem, because unless he's getting this stuff all the time,
look at us.
There are going to be peaks and valleys. So I think he's going to go nuts. I think he's going to be up there talking and interrupting, and he's going to be all jacked up.
Well, he gets 30-second penalty if he's interrupting too much. You know, that's the new rules of the game show. Did you see his bad teleprompter day?
No.
My God! Oh, poor Joe. Now, I think that this is a combo of all of what you just said, him not having that, and a rough prompter day, and sometimes you just have a rough reading day. I'm 54. I have it. You know,
it happens to me all the time, as you can tell when I do the reads from the donations.
And Joe is 76, so it's understandable, but it's a little embarrassing.
The challenge of following this disastrous presidency over will not be just to restore the reputation and our credibility. Donald Trump and the demagogues around the world are leaning into these forces. That triumph of democracy and liberalism over fascism and autocracy that has driven all our economic process and progress. We believe in free speech. That's why I'll end the gag rule, the global gag rule that prevents money from getting to NGOs who even talk about family planning. But President Tump took those words, those literal words, nation of immigrant, out of the statement, the mission statement of our citizenship and immigration services. We have to be honest about, because we've neglected the basics. By strengthening. Folks, we're virtually energy independent.
No, I think what's happening is the prompter is not going to the next page.
I am not seeing it that way.
Well, wait. After he does the strengthening, then he's waiting for the next word, what to call Trump. Listen.
Neglected the basics. By strengthening. Folks, we're virtually energy independent. He has, I don't know how to say it, he's alienated us from the very democratic.
That to me sounds like he has, I don't know how to say it because the next word isn't on the screen. Alienated,
I don't know how to say it, he's alienated us from the very democratic allies we need most. And partnerships built on coercion to take on non-traditional threats like weaponized corruption. We cannot be a credible voice on the proliferation of nuclear security and on proliferation and nuclear security. We'll look for enforceable commitments. They'll produce emissions, reduce emissions.
Please clap.
Poor Joe. I hate seeing a fellow podcaster struggle like that.
Well, he's it sounds more like he was probably, had a couple.
Really?
And was mispronouncing a lot of stuff and kept saying things like proliferation of nuclear security. What is that? It may have been a prompter issue.
Felt like it to me. Maybe a combo deal here.
It was definitely a confluence of horrible things happening to him at once.
Hey,
but I think may have had a couple in the a couple of those.
Yeah. At least he's not Angela Merkel. We forgot to mention this on the Thursday show. Whatever. What day is it today? Sunday. I'm all confused.
She had the shakes again.
Third time.
Yeah.
And now the most Germans are saying, that's really her health. It's just a personal issue. We should stop reporting on it. Okay.
Well, you don't have to report. All you have to do is just watch her.
But it looks bad.
She's got a neurological condition, it seems to me.
That's what most pros are saying it looks like. Something in her brain. And that's maybe the same thing that let her opened up the borders and took away and removed nuclear energy.
Maybe she got a tumor.
I feel bad for her, but people of Germany, what are you thinking? And German, hey, where are German producers? What's the boots on the ground? What are people really thinking about this? What are they saying? What's the word?
Yeah, we have German producers. We've got quite a few of them. Where's Eric?
Hogel. I have more news out of Euroland. That's right, everybody. Right after that flying hoverboard.
Space Force.
Yes. Le Force d'Espace. As Emmanuel Macron announces, France will now have a Space Force. We need a French version of the T-shirt, No Agenda Shop. So they're getting a Space Command, the same idea. I think they may be folding it under the Air Force. But France is going to have a Space Force. I hope they laugh as hard as they did at Trump when he came out with
Space Force.
Because it's just too crazy. It's just too funny. But that does bring me to our 50th anniversary of the moon landing. A lot has been said about the moon landing. I think my stance is well known. I do not believe that initial landing was real. The real problem for NASA is the missing tapes. And what kind of rekindled my interest in the story is the notion that the tapes were found. An intern had the tapes, and the intern is going to auction these off at Christie's, millions of dollars for the lost moon landing tapes. And they showed 3 tapes. And these are the 2-inch forehead Ampex tapes. Well, I can tell you with quite a lot of authority that these are not the original tapes, has nothing to do with the original tapes. They're not even the same format as the tapes. It's a complete bullshit hoax. And anyone who buys them for $1 million is an idiot. Because I found something I'd never seen before. 10 years ago, on the 40th anniversary, they redid the moon landing video. And the moon landing video was, when I said redid, it means that they enhanced what they had. And this was done by Lowry Digital. Lowry Digital, unfortunately for them, is a Hollywood company. They do a lot of 3D stuff for big budget movies. They cleaned up a lot of the Titanic footage and Avatar, work with James Cameron a lot. It's quite an established operation.
Pros.
Yeah, pros. It's sad that it's Hollywood pros because that only fuels the conspiracy theories.
Who else
obviously
is going to do it, though? Come on.
But this was at the museum, which I think they closed it now, the museum.
Yeah, they finally shuttered it for good reason.
Yeah, it was
the CIA front anyway.
So someone just closed the door really hard. So they did this little presentation of the cleaned up moon landing video, and yeah, it's all right. They put contrast in; it looks better. But let's talk about these tapes, or actually how the video got from the moon down to your television set. And there's 2 people in this piece. Dick Navzeger, he was charged by NASA with. There's a younger guy with. Creating, with overseeing the touching up and the polishing off, enhancement of the tapes. But he explains here how the video got from the moon to your television screens.
I'd like to explain briefly to you, if you'll put up the first graphic of how TV got from the moon. This is a graphic showing that on the moon we had Mr. LeBar and Westinghouse slow scan camera that downlinked to 3 locations: Parkes Radio Astronomy in Australia, Honeysuckle Creek Tracking Station, which was a manned flight station, and to Goldstone in the Mojave Desert. The slow scan from Parkes was remoted to Sydney. Honeysuckle converted video to broadcast to Sydney, and the best video they had was transmitted via Intelsat. You'll see that the video came down into California. Goldstone and the Intelsat site in California relayed this by landline and microwave directly to Houston, where it was released to the world. This video, originally before conversion for formats that could be viewed by the world, was called Slow Scan, was recorded on 14-track tapes, and was considered just a track of telemetry. Also, there has been some questions about the Slow Scan search and what we're looking for. We're looking for the original Slow Scan video, which we all know has a higher quality than the converted by the nature of the state of the art in that year, 1969. We are not looking for video that hasn't been seen. There was no video that came down slow scan that was not converted live, fed live to Houston, and fed live to the world.
So, this is very interesting. The way it worked is they had a slow scan TV, 10 frames a second, 320 lines, that they broadcast from the moon. It was then received by 3 different stations, including Honeysuckle, whatever it was in Australia. I think it was Park, Utah. It's 2 other stations in the U.S. Now, this slow scan, which that really caught my interest because I've done SSTV broadcast, slow scan TV broadcast, ham radio, which is not the same transmission, same type of transmission, but it's the same encoding technology essentially for slow scan video, and this is the reason for the ghosting that you see, because it's you can't move too fast because it's as the name implies, slow scan. The real problem was that it had to be converted in order to put on the television or the quality of television at the time. So it needed to be up-converted from those 10 frames. So you're repeating a lot of information. And the way they did it was optically. So you had a slow scan camera broadcast, and crazy. I mean, they FM modulation, and it was only 3 kilohertz bandwidth, strangely enough. And they would they receive that, it would play on a slow scan television, which does give a pretty decent image, even the 10 frames. And they had a TV camera on the slow scan screen to capture that image and then send it back to Houston. And then it was eventually sent off to the networks to be put on live on television. Except Australia, they broadcast it directly from their Honeysuckle station. Now, so this was a live television event. It was recorded, so they claim. And the recording was done on these huge 1-inch Memorex reels with 14 different tracks. This is where the lost telemetry comes from, because the telemetry is on the 13 other tracks. It's talked about in this next clip. And one track, again, only 3 kilohertz worth of bandwidth, which is very, very, very small, was used for the slow scan video recording. He's going to talk about, he had a copy of the tape there with him. It's on YouTube, so anyone who's, Christie's may want to take a look before they start auctioning off some bogus crap. The thing is huge. They apparently still have a player for it, and here's his explanation of what it is.
But this tape, which is a telemetry tape, had 1 track on it that was for video, slow scan. They had 14 tracks of data, such as voice, telemetry, biomedical data. This was all treated as telemetry. Why did we record video there? For backup. In case live didn't go, we had something to play back from the original source. We also recorded the converted, so we could play from Sydney or anywhere else back to the world. But the requirement was live TV. As you know, live TV was successful. The converter did degrade to some extent. The state of the art of trying to get slow scan converted to a broadcast signal that everyone could see has a degradation in it, and it had to be. It took a lot of setup, a lot of even art to set these up correctly. These tapes were recorded at 120 inches a second to be able to record this slow scan TV. In 15 minutes, 9,000 foot of tape was used up during each 15 minutes of that lunar lunar television walk. So there were 45 tapes approximately that were shipped to Goddard and to the WNRC, and amongst about 400,000 to 500,000 during the Apollo program.
So that's well, the problem with these tapes is they had 40,000 of them. They're filled with telemetry, 15 minutes on a single tape. Very expensive at the time, and it was never really intended to be saved. It was just intended to be kept as a backup, and so that they could use it later if they couldn't do the live shot. And these things were recycled frequently. Now they do have a lot of the telemetry data from other tapes, but these particular ones, and he has a whole bunch of reasoning as to how those got degaussed and put back into the system, and it was nobody's fault. It was the protocols at the time. Also on stage was Stanley LaBar, a former engineer of Westinghouse, who at the time was tasked with building the camera. And he went into some interesting detail. It's worth checking out the video. It's in the show notes, nashownotes.com. He went into some detail about the camera, as the cameras at the time weighed about 700 pounds and were huge power hogs through early integrated circuits at the time. And I looked it up, and it fits within the timeline. They were able to reduce the size of the slow scan camera from the cameras at the time to 7 pounds, and the total power needed was 7 watts, which he keeps reiterating is like a Christmas tree light bulb. The conversion process is kind of the kink in the machine here. But worse is that Stanley was asked to speak at this event, and he talks about his experience, and he was unhappy with the way it went. Now, Stanley at this point is he's I think 86, and listen to what he said and how his brief comment kind of ends oddly and then is just done.
This moment in time was historical, and that I would remember it for my lifetime. And I have. When Armstrong came out on the porch, he pulled a D-ring which opened a large door that had the camera mounted on it. So when the door swung out, the camera was positioned so it saw the ladder, and that's how that image was taken. There was a great deal of concern. Although we were totally elated, the camera worked, but what we saw at that point was rather disturbing because it was not what we had simulated, and we knew we had a problem. And that would concern me for some 40 years. So that's what I experienced at that point in time, and that's what I remember. So let me turn it back to Dick.
What?
In following up with what Stan said, this was a one-time event, as you all know. I support shuttle now. I support external tank television now at Goddard.
So it wasn't what we simulated. It was shocking, haunt me for the rest of my life. Sadly, Stanley died 5 months later on the operating table with some routine procedure. Oops. So the way I see it, to fake the moon landing, it was so easy. All you had to do was throw a slow scan signal out there with the right sync pulse, and they took it for real. No one at NASA would have ever known. And you could have done that from terrestrial. Didn't have to be from the moon. You could broadcast a signal from a single satellite if you wanted to. You could have little stations at these 3 receivers and throw that signal in the air. A couple milliwatts, it would have worked. So it's a big hole in the moon landing video. And I'm surprised that all of this, this noise about the lost tapes is, somehow they're talking about these 3, 2-inch tapes that are going on auction, which is just, it can't be true. This is bogus. So I think that this is definitively shows that the smoking gun is in the transmission of the slow scan TV from the so-called moon, which wasn't what they simulated. This would haunt him for the rest of his life, which was only 5 months after that.
What do you think, what was the difference? We saw the slow scan that they produced.
I think
he says there was something. It wasn't like what we had worked on in the lab.
I think he looked at whatever was coming through the conversion.
There's a guy standing there. I mean, what do you think it was?
No, I think that
lizard.
Nice. I think he saw that it could not have been his camera. That it wasn't his 10 frame 320. Again, that's the proof we don't have. We don't have the actual proof that it was 10 frame 320 line slow scan TV. I think that's what he was seeing. Like, well. Because they received, it's a different clip, which I don't have. They received the pulse signal, but they were not receiving it there. It was received at these other stations. And so I think that he looked at that and went, that's not coming from the camera that I built.
It's possible that's what he was saying. He didn't say that specifically.
No, he didn't. But you heard what he does say.
Yeah. Well, there you have it. I don't know what that means, but
it doesn't really again. It doesn't mean anything other than for sure these tapes that are going on auction have nothing to do with the actual lost tapes.
Especially if it's an Ampex 2-inch tape, because it sounds to me as though they ran. Because a friend of mine back in the very famous inventor Steve Beck, he was always inventing all kinds of stuff, and he was showing me slow scan TV on a cassette recorder, the little bitty cassettes, the little Norelcos.
Sure.
And he had a slow scan system set up that could record on that tape.
Yep. You could do so much.
And it was kind of cool. And I'm thinking, if this was what the way he's describing as telemetry, 14 or 13 tracks of telemetry and one track of slow scan, that doesn't sound like a helical or that spinning heads thing that Ampex does. It sounds like some special gear that and in fact there's so many tapes. This had to just be a linear recording.
Correct.
Well, if that's a linear recording, then those tapes that these guys have can't ever be looked at. You have to have that one piece of specialized gear.
Yes. Well, apparently they have one machine that can play back, and they have retrieved these telemetry tapes, which is the big 1-inch Memorex reels, and they have been able to get telemetry data off of it, but they don't have the telemetry data tape that includes that 14th track of video, and so they really don't know. It wouldn't be marked anyway, or it wasn't at the time. So they've gone through everything they have, and those are missing. But they were also never intended to be kept, and blah, 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 whatever. But look at how pretty it looks now, thanks to the Hollywood guys.
Well, what are you going to do?
Nothing, but it's my beat.
1969, it's a miracle that you could ever even build a Saturn V. We know that's a fact.
Remember, this show is going until 2024 just to see if we really make it onto the moon this time.
It's futile.
What's futile?
They're not going to do anything in 2024. That's only 5 years from now.
But that's the promise.
The promise is bogus.
Yeah. Well, I don't understand how can it be so hard? It seems easy. Look at what we were using back in the day. My iPhone should be able to take me to the moon.
Well, to the moon, Alice. Okay, well, let's catch up with popular culture. Here's something you'd actually probably kind of like this, because we talked about it a little earlier in the show, which is the cashless society and cash and the rest. So O.J. Simpson, the murderer, he was found not guilty. He posted another note on Twitter, and this is actually pretty good.
Hello, Twitter world. This is me, yours truly. In the last 48 hours, I've learned that you're never too old to learn. 2 days ago was my birthday, and I got hacked in my computer. I probably got more duped than hacked. In any event, they got into all my information. Fortunately for me, my bank alerted me that there was a charge coming in from Europe in euros, and they didn't honor it. So I really didn't lose anything except some time and stuff. But the problem was I was traveling the next day, which was yesterday, and I had to get some cash from my friends. I figured I was in good shape. Little did I know. Do you know that there's companies in...
Wait a minute. I need to get some cash from my friends. That's what we call a drug deal?
Friends, I figured I was in...
Come on, OJ. Who are you trying to fool with that, son? That's no good. Hold on.
The problem was I was traveling the next day, which was yesterday, and I had to get some cash from my friends. I figured I was in good shape. Little did I know. Do you know there's companies in America that will not accept the American dollar for goods or services? Really? I mean, at one point, I couldn't even buy a bottle of water. You know, I just thought, well, when did the American dollar get usurped?
When you were in jail, fool.
Grew up, they said cash was king. I guess now it's been relegated to a duke or an earl. In any event, I know there's a lot of Americans that don't have credit cards, and I just didn't think it was right.
Right on, OJ. The juice is loose.
The juice is loose.
You know, just for the record. I don't think OJ did it. I think his son did it, and I think
that's what a lot of people believe. His
him.
son was, and he was just taking one for the team.
Yes, second time you've used that. No, second time it's come up in the show. That's what it is.
Yes, I've only used it once. That was it.
That's correct. Yeah. Well, we certainly like taking American dollars.
I'm going to show my support by donating to No Agenda. Imagine all the people who could do that. Oh yeah, that'd be fab. Yeah, on No Agenda in the morning.
And we do have a few people to thank for show 1155. Starting with Anonymous in Toronto, Ontario, who dropped off $150. So you get de-douching now. He just says donation to appease the great goat in the sky.
Ooh.
So it might shower his wife with jobs karma. We'll give you the jobs karma at the end.
You bet.
With the goat. Chris Bolton in Newcastle under Lyme in Staffordshire, UK, 137.17, and he says, keep up the adequate work.
Thanks. I feel
British
great.
understatement.
Yes.
Always welcome. Maxine Waters Gravel is back
that's why I was
with
banging.
$133.
That's right. Wait, don't I have a Maxine Waters Gravel jingle?
I don't know, but he's got a Rick D's lucky number donation. Now, Maxine Waters Gravel is going to be a dame shortly. Tim E 12345, Craig Porter 115.50, Daniel Armstrong $100, Forrest Downing on Three Rivers, California, $90.23. He says, "Love the show. You guys are the best." And he's a de-douching.
Mm-hmm. Right now, yeah, we can do that.
You've been de-douched.
We'll give him some human resource karma at the end. Yeah, Eric Bird, 7140.
Hold on a second. We've got a blue entry. I'm happy to write that I will finally be joining the ranks of the No Agenda Knights and Dames after many years of blissful media deconstruction piped directly into my ear holes, now twice a week on Thursday. Accounting attached. This donation is in honor of Bastille Day, which we celebrate by eating like French peasants, drinking too much wine, and capping the night with burning a cardboard effigy of the Bastille stuffed with firecrackers. This year, we will be sure to don le gilet jaune. That's the yellow vest for safety, of course. I have no French heritage, but who can resist the call of revolution and an excuse to burn shit? America! He wants Canales? What is this? And Campari? What is Canales?
Canales.
Canales and Campari. It's a fine drink.
Canales is one of my favorite desserts.
Why don't you read this while I add this to the round table? I have to order this special.
While even reading it, I will mention, he says, for my ceremony, I'd like to be known as Sir Eric Knight of the Falls. Thank you for all you to do, keeping us slaves woke. Canales is a Bordeaux specialty that's made in a little copper thing, and it's for all practical purposes, what it consists of is it's made with beeswax and pancake mix.
Yum.
And it's delicious. Beeswax is tasty. Kevin Fitzpatrick in Houston, Texas comes up next, 6666.
This is were these people doing the 33 plus 33 part of the 1155 donation?
Well, one guy, at least Ms. Jamie of the Highway was, because she says so, 66.66. Kevin didn't say anything.
Miss Jamie of the Highway is November 3 Echo Oscar Papa, 73s and 88s.
Christina Thomas in Drums, Pennsylvania, 66. This would be right. She's got a red call here. $33 seemed too small a donation for the excellent work you two do. I agree. So I decided to double it. She goes on and she says she needs a de-douching. We'll do that.
It's her first time donating.
You've been de-douched.
I need to call out my stepdad, who's been listening a very long time and hit me in the mouth years ago, yet to my knowledge has never donated. Douchebag. If he has, he's done it under an anonymous name and hasn't told me.
And we're going to give her some...
Just to be on the safe side, he deserves to be called out.
You got it. And we'll get her a jobs karma at the end. She just graduated. Still on the job hunt.
Keep up the great work you do, and to everyone else listening, donate.
Thank you, Christina.
Ryan Wolf, 6518.
Oh, this is a in memoriam donation. Ryan Wolf. The 6518 is a Devil Kitty donation in memory of Devil Kitty, and also appreciation of the best podcast in the universe.
Harvey Smith, 6006, small boobs. And Sheila Ryan, $60. She's in Paris.
Bonjour, monsieur, she says.
We do have a French person listening.
First time donating to your show. I've been listening for over a year. I'm delighted to have discovered you. I wish my donation was bigger, as I believe the work you both do is enormous and tremendous. It is a question of affordability. Thank you for the many hours of pleasure you give. Sheila Ryan, Paris, France. Merci, merci.
Christopher Dexter, 5678. Andrew
Lemessany. Hey, it's been a while. We haven't heard from Andrew Lemessany in a while.
I haven't heard from. Yeah, you're right.
All right, welcome back. Welcome back. I'm sorry. Just hate to interrupt. Double nickels on the dime for a number heavy show. Colorado Springs meetup 7/19. Be there. So he'll be there.
Kirk Strike, 5511. It's a reverse 1155.
Nice one.
Yeah, that's funny. But I didn't catch that.
Didn't even think of that.
We had a bunch of people that caught it.
Yeah.
Including E. Evan McPherson in Metairie, Louisiana. That's also his birthday. Or his birthday's coming up. No, today's his birthday.
Mm-hmm.
Reed Guanti in Towson, Maryland. Cosmic Weenie article was excellent.
It was a good article. I enjoyed reading that myself. And I just love it when you have a web page that ends in .htm. It's just the best.
Of course. I know. It's especially for
best. You. It's the best.
So that was written.
And no title tag.
I'm going to do these. Yeah, well, that's a title tag. I'm not sure how to put a title tag in an HTML file that I created with Word.
I'm surprised Word doesn't do that automatically. So Word still saves as web page as .htm?
Yeah.
Shit, that's some legacy.
Unless you specifically type .html, then it'll do that. But if you just put the title, that your web page name, and then you hit the save as HTML, it saves as .htm. Now it does it automatically.
Well, dynamite.
But I don't know how to do the title page from Word. Now, I have other mechanisms to do that, but I don't want to write these essays up and then have to go find, Dreamweaver and load it in just to put that in. I'm not doing that.
Dreamweaver. Front page, baby. Where's that? Come on.
It's been disbanded years and years ago. That was the worst. Front Page is a good story because that started off as one of the best web page editors because it wasn't Microsoft product. No. Microsoft bought it.
Yeah, and they ruined it.
And they ruined it. And to the point where it was so ruined that they had to just cancel it.
It got canceled. It was fantastic. I thought you were hand coding this stuff. I'm disappointed now.
No, I'm not hand coding this. I don't have time for this. I'm trying to. It's long enough to write the article and edit it and get it up.
Here's what I see. I see you with Emacs. Okay, I'm going to write this web page.
Emacs. Yeah, that's got to be
I'm going to cord up a little Cosmic Weenie, everybody.
So I'm going to do these essays more often, so I can get a good collection of them. And I sent out a little note in straight text, because I'm pretty sure that gets through to everybody, just announcing the essay, and it went out on Friday. And we do that once a week. I'm going to try try to do more of these.
Well, it's appreciated. I enjoy reading them, and I know everyone else does. Everybody.
Joel Donaldson in Elko, Nevada. Thank you, John and Adam. 5511. Daniel Havener, 5510. Double nickels on the dime. Tom Miller, double nickels on the dime, 5510. David Fearon, $52. He needs some raised karma. Put that in for him at the end. Nathan Miller Foster, 5151. This symbolic 66 donation is made in honor of alternative researcher Tracy Twyman. She died recently, apparently.
Tracy just left us and passed to the next stage of being. Excuse me. This is a small donation made in respect of her great and shining, indomitable spirit. Godspeed, Tracy. We love you.
Mr. BX from Croatia. Well, that's nice.
Wow, longtime donor since episode 7. Donated after a while, being man overboard in terms of donating. If I can get fluoride in my cup, yeah, we'll get. He's from Croatia. We'll get you some fluoride in your cup. And he also needs an F cancer for a family member. There's a couple of those today, so we'll get that for you as well.
Sergeant Postal, Miami Lakes, Florida, $50.33. Alexander Beatty in Houston, Texas, $50.01. The following people are $50 donors, starting with Keith Yarborough in Austin, Texas.
Yep.
Right down the street from Adam.
Yep.
Kevin Silverman in Severn, Maryland. Robert Kerback in Essexville, Michigan. Jonathan Evans, parts unknown. Dame Patricia Worthington in Miami, Florida. Thank you. Mark Johnson in Aurora, California. Brandon Savoy in Port Orchard, Washington. Robert Weber in Lake Forest, California. Anonymous Scrometer. After Adam's own heart, $50.
Nice to hear Adam talk about marijuana.
In Odessa, Florida, $50. John Holler in Missoula, Montana. And that concludes our group of producers for show 1155. I want to thank them all for supporting the show. And don't forget, we have another show coming up on Thursday.
Yeah, thank you for hearing the call and supporting the show. It is always tough in the summer. This has been a tough one for some reason. And it's also, I don't know, maybe we're on the precipice of Armageddon. So thank you for stepping up. And, we're clearly doing everything we can to bring you as much value as possible, which is all we ask for. Whatever you think you got out of the show, translate that into US dollars and PayPal it to us. There's other ways to get it to us. Well, checks. We take money orders. We're not ashamed of any of that. You can send it however you want. And everything you do is appreciated. And of course, you can do that for Thursday's show at
Dvorak.org/NA.
Couple of karmas, but first a note from our very own Sir Chris Wilson. Bernadette Wilson, his mom, went into the hospital on Friday. She's not doing great. She has pneumonia. We're hoping for the best. She's 91, twice survivor of breast cancer, and still lives on her own. Sharp as a tack, crazy as she's always been. Of course, that's the rest of the family gene pool. That's hence his proclivities, he says. I would like a special goat karma and F cancer shout out for Bernadette, of course. And we'll add some jobs to that for anyone else who needs it. And thank you, Sir Chris, and Godspeed to Bernadette.
Jobs.
No, that's the wrong one. Here
jobs, and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
Okay, then we have, let's see, we got some meetups.
No agenda meetup.
Got quite the list for you once again. July 18th is when we'll have the next one. That's Southeast London. The 19th in Colorado Springs. July 20th, Southwest London and Chicagoland. July 26th, St. Louis and Portland, Oregon. July 27th, Buffalo, New York and Frisco, Texas. The 28th of July, Central Florida. Then we go into August. I mean, they're being planned everywhere. This is a great opportunity to just go hang out with some people, have a drink, have a chat, and not have to worry about triggering anyone or any exploding amygdalas. August 1st, Seattle, Washington. August 2nd to the 4th. I'm not quite sure. I got to look at noagendameetups.com. The Lot Festival in Ravensburg, Germany. I don't know if that's on the 2nd and the 4th, or if it's the 2nd, 3rd, and the 4th. We'll have to look at the calendar. August 3rd, Orange County, California. August 9th, Murfreesboro in Tennessee. August 10th, Chicago. That's the one I think Tina, the keeper, and I should go to. I'm going to mark that one down, August 10th. The 22nd, Charleston, South Carolina, and August 23rd, Salem, Oregon. A note that the 26th meetup in Portland, Oregon, will be attended by Eric the Shill and his wife. And maybe the kids. Is he bringing the kids? He should bring the kids.
Yeah, the kids will be there.
He should bring the kids, for sure. And John, you need to attend one of these. Maybe you can do...
I could go to that one in Portland. That would probably not be a bad thing.
Oh, you go with the... Oh, that would be fantastic. Go with the kids. Go with everybody. The whole clan. You guys kind of do that well, the whole Dvorak clan meetups. Yeah, it's lots of distraction. It's good. NoAgendaMeetups.com is where you can find a meetup near you. And if you don't, then you can always start one. It's that simple. And thanks to everyone who is participating in that.
It's a birthday.
Today being the 14th of July, Bastille Day, we do have a list of birthdays to celebrate. Chris Whidden / Uncle K-Bear says happy birthday to his brother Ian. He celebrates today. We say happy birthday to Dame Isabel Pearson, Our Lady of Lisboa. Evan McPherson also celebrating today. And happy belated birthday from Mickey Keck to her son Jason. He turned 21 yesterday. Happy birthday from everybody here at the best podcast in the universe. We have 2 knightings today, so if you could... no, just grab the sword. Don't need that thing.
Here's the sword.
There you go. Up on the stage, we need Sir Eric. We need Eric, but he's not a sir yet. Jeff Williams, please step up as well. Gentlemen, both of you are about to become Knights of the No Agenda Roundtable. You can take place with the Knights and the Dames. Thanks to your support of the program in the amount of $1,000 or more over whatever period it takes, we highly appreciate it, and I am very proud to pronounceate the Sir Eric, Knight of the Falls, and Sir Jeff of the 5 Seasons. For you, gentlemen, we have canelés and Campari, cookies and vodka, hookers and blow, rent boys and Chardonnay, pinball and power chords, goat chops and goat milk, bong hits and bourbon, ginger ale and gerbils, breast milk and pablum, vodka and vanilla, and mutton and mead. You can get your share, but most importantly, hand off your ring size to Eric the Shill at noagendanation.com/rings. We'll get those out to you as soon as possible. And congratulations on joining the illustrious group of Knights and Dames of the No Agenda Round Table. And thank you for your support. Thank you for your courage. Yes.
I have a tribute as we go into the... I think we're done.
No, we got some show left.
I have a tribute. By the way, I have a good end of show clip, so remember that when we get to the end.
Okay.
But this is not it. This is more of a tribute to Elizabeth Warren. Since somehow, I guess the Google Voice phone numbers have been given out. They're on the lists now for people to just make random calls from robots.
What exactly does that mean? What are you saying?
The Rachel. I'm Rachel with Card Services.
Yes.
So they're calling the Google thing, and I don't have a phone hook to it. But it will record.
Oh, okay. Hold on. So what you're saying is the telemarketers, the bots, now have moved to all of the Google Voice telephone numbers, and they're calling those numbers?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I have a compilation since I'm not there, but you get this is what ends up, and I don't know quite how I don't get the beginning of these. I just get mostly the guy comes on afterwards. I'm not sure how this works. But I have 1 minute, actually a minute and 10 seconds worth of grief of all I really got to hear when I went to the messages for the Google Voice and hit play, and I one after the other. This is a series of them.
Hello, 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 hello,
hello, hello,
hello, hello,
hello, hello,
hello, hello, hello. Hello?
Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Yes, hi, this is Azora calling from Insurance Enrollment Center. And the reason of my call is to provide you a quote on Medicare insurance, also known as Medigap. And just to verify, you are still in the state of California. Am I correct? Hello?
Hi, good day. My name is Kelly, and I'm calling from Insurance Enrollment Center. And the reason of my call today is to provide you a free quote on Medicare insurance, also known as Medigap, and to verify you're still in the state of California, correct? And let me just ask you a quick question. Are you currently on Medicare or Medicaid?
Hello?
Hello?
Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Hello. It's me.
It's me.
And here I sit on the stoop.
Couldn't resist. Yeah, I've gotten those calls. Not at all conspicuous.
The one that got me was the last one where the woman says, "You're in California, right?"
Right.
There's no response to that, and she kept talking.
These people are a piece of work. I love it. That's very funny. And that was all on your Google Voice, huh?
Yeah, all of it.
That's fantastic. I love it. I love it.
Good work, Elizabeth Warren.
Yeah, she's so fabulous. You should send that to Rosie O'Donnell. Thanks. It's so great. She's really rocking it. I have a one belt, no road, 3-prong China clip. As if it wasn't,
I have one too.
If it wasn't bad enough that we, they're buying up all the ports, they're putting in the railway. Now they got Russia in on it.
The privately financed Meridian Highway will become the Russian segment of a new Europe-China highway stretching over 5,000 miles and ultimately connecting the ports of Shanghai and Hamburg. It will run from Kazakhstan to the Belarus border, and its length will be more than 2,000 kilometers or 1,250 miles. It's one of a number of projects promoted by Beijing as part of China's Belt and Road Initiative. The work has already begun around the Sagarchin frontier post at the eastern end of the road. At the western end, the 4-lane highway will enter Belarus close to the Russian city of Smolensk. The highway will pass through the territory of 8 regions of the Russian Federation. Its longest section will be located in the Saratov region. The construction of Meridian will be completed by 2024. The new toll motorway is expected to cost more than $9.5 billion and will be built using a public-private partnership. It's expected that the road will start bringing profit in 12 years. The main source of revenue is likely to be trucks between Europe and China. It's planned to take some of the freight that currently uses the Trans-Siberian Railway or the Suez Canal. At present, the delivery of goods from Asia to Europe by sea via the Suez Canal takes 45 days, by the Trans-Siberian Railway 14 days, and if the new road is built through Russia, the delivery time will be reduced just 10 days. Some experts believe that for Washington, this could be something of a nightmare because the new road will allow Asia and China in particular to trade with European countries bypassing the sea routes used by the United States. Plus, China will receive more access to the European market, partially compensating its losses from the current bitter US-China trade war. But Russia must hurry up and finish the project. China won't wait and can build new routes to Europe bypassing Russia.
Who knew that just the road would be the easiest way to do it? All these newfangled trains and boats. Let's just build a road, people.
Well, geez.
It's quite a road.
They've gone out of control, these Chinese.
Not generalizing or anything. Out of control.
But, well, let's talk about the Richard Engel, of course, the correspondent for NBC, who is, it could be, he seems like a CIA guy to me.
He's not really trustworthy in our eyes. He's lied a lot about reports.
But he comes up with, he gets assignments that are very targeted. And for some reason, instead of being in the Middle East like he normally is, he's in China.
Oh, really?
Yeah, here we go.
What is it called here? I'm looking for it. Oh, I got it. Richard Engel. I got it.
Tonight, China is sparing no expense to dominate the world of artificial intelligence. Though much of the technology was developed in the United States, President Xi Jinping wants China to be the world's AI leader by 2030. Officials showed us this sprawling port where, thanks to AI, human workers are being replaced. And while Americans encounter AI every day, with companies like Amazon and Netflix using it to rank products based on what we bought and watched, China is now using AI to rank its people. There are an estimated 200 million surveillance cameras in China, and now they not only know where you are, They know who you are. Many of the surveillance cameras feed into an AI system, which can not only recognize your face, but bring up your name, your social media activity, financial status, and criminal record. The AI calculates what's called a social credit score. If your score drops too low, you're denied access to airports and trains.
Wait, so this guy is just doing this report, which we've done for years about the social score?
We've done it for years, but now it's going on to the NBC, Richard Engel. There's some reason they're giving us this report out of the blue.
Why aren't they reporting on the actual spy operation that someone just went to jail for?
Well, you send a note to NBC News and ask them.
There was a former State Department employee sentenced to over 3 years for spying for China.
Yes, this story, which I don't have a clip of.
I don't have a clip of it either. No one, I mean,
good.
It's reported
no one's
on.
Covering it.
No.
It's an old Hillary woman. And she's got, I think, almost 4 years in jail, 40 months.
An OHW, huh?
And she's very sorry that she did this, but she was like spying for China. And she's,
It's crazy. Puerto Rico.
You have a clip of it, you said?
No, I don't. No, there's no clip. I found one article.
I don't understand why this has been repressed.
It's an OHW. You just said it yourself, an old Hillary woman. We don't report on that. I'll do this on Thursday. We got a boots on the ground report from Puerto Rico. But this is a juicy story, also underreported. The government is about to collapse thanks to a log of a Telegram chat, which wasn't that supposed to be all? I mean, I don't know how this gets out, these logs. The governor apparently was just chatting away. Let me see if I have some of the quotes here. Was just chatting away with everybody, talking about, those, it's just a lot of slurs, basically. Let's see, I'm looking for the slurs here.
That's always a good look.
Well, it's not a very good look. So somehow this log got out. Here, the log, the document which details conversations made through the messaging app Telegram from late 2018 to January 20th of this year, is filled with profanity-laced, misogynistic, homophobic, and sexual comments from the governor and other members of the group attacking opposition leaders, fellow party members, journalists, and activist groups. The conversation also reveals efforts to manipulate public perception of the administration through public polls and a so-called troll network on social media. Where is the reporting on this? This is everything you want. Oh, wait. No, it's Puerto Rico. No, that would mean that the president was right when he says it's corrupt. That's too bad. It seems like a great story.
I thought Telegram was supposed to be this secure messaging system, which is obviously what they thought.
Yeah. Well, to me, if this was a group chat, someone leaked it. Someone leaked the log of it. It's not that hard. If you're in the group chat and just copy it, paste it, send it off to somebody. But they're talking about duping manipulating public perception through public polls, and
that's never happened.
And a troll network on social media. I mean, this is a scandal of epic proportions. But no. And it'd be great to have a clip of this. I'd love to read this log. If anyone can get a hand on get some of the log, that's your radio play right there, John.
Well, that would be a good play. You're right.
I would love that.
That would be a good one. But there's also, I want to get a hold of the article that was pulled from the New Republic, I believe, that ran this gay guy supposedly was going off on Buttigieg. This just happened like today or yesterday, and I can't. And every link that's I've found so far, because I wanted to read it, because it's resulted in almost a collapse of a climate summit for some reason. I don't even understand how that's connected.
What's going on? I have not heard of any of this.
Yeah. The New Republic, they had this piece on Buttigieg written by a gay guy who goes off on him, talking about is he a top, a bottom. He goes, it gets pretty gross.
Oh, God.
And he's just giving him grief. And somebody, I guess, at the magazine said, hey, wait a minute. Why are we publishing this? This is pretty gruesome. And so they pulled it, which got more attention than it should have. And then because they ran it in the first place, a whole bunch of sponsors that were going to do this climate summit, I think it's in September, which included the magazine and then Gizmodo and a whole bunch of other people. They said, we have nothing to do with it now. We're pulling out. And so they're all pulling out of the climate summit because of this, which is, I don't see the connection, but okay. And just politically correct out. And now I'm trying to find the original article, and I know somebody out there can find it. I don't know how much work I'd have to do it myself, but if anyone has a connection to that article, send me a link.
Producers, you have your mission now. This is something that that we need to find. Sounds like another great radio play. It's just one after another.
Just reading in essays, yeah, maybe. It sounds pretty funny.
I read an article this morning. Let me see who wrote this article. It's Associated Press. Google is going to take another, it's Forbes, is going to take another crack at building a social network. This should be interesting.
This will be the third one.
Third iteration. They're going to try it one more time. So the idea seems, I'm reading from the article, the idea seems to be setting up local social networks. Right now, the New York domain .nyc, Shoelace, is it shoelace.nyc, is connecting. It sounds a lot like Mastodon, actually, when you think about it. So it's by invite only right now.
Always that way. But
there'll be, of course, Google doesn't do anything without the money part. So they're focusing on hyper-local advertising. It's not in their DNA. This is not a good idea. I don't think they'll succeed.
It won't work. It won't work. But I can see what they're thinking. It's like, who is tapping into the local advertisers, which used to be the newspapers, local newspapers, and even local TV stations are the ones that used to get all that advertising, and the local newspapers are just dropped the ball completely.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of untapped advertising potential in local.
Yes. So they're going after that.
No one has been able to capture it online. They have all these backyard and all these different kinds of websites that are supposedly just for local listeners or readers. I'm sorry. And they have not really scored big on the advertising side because I think advertisers are practical, and if they don't see it on a newspaper, they don't spend the money.
Well, it'd be interesting to see.
So Google's just trying to horn in.
Yeah. Well, it'd be interesting to see how they drive adoption, because that's the thing that, Google did have a social network, which, what was that thing called?
The original one was
Orkut. And it got adopted by transsexuals in Brazil. And was very
Brazilians
popular.
Really made that thing work.
Yeah, they loved it.
And they loved it. Brazilians are very social, and they love the Orkut because Orkut
Google
really
is so transphobic, they shut it down because they couldn't stand transsexuals. It's Google's all against that. They're anti-trans. Trans hate.
It seems so.
Trans hate.
And then they came with Google Plus, which was a horrible product, unusable.
Yeah. Remember Buzz?
Oh, and there was Buzz.
They leaked everybody's info. And
yeah, they couldn't keep that together.
Now, even though they are putting their social network together, they will not be invited to the White House Social Media Summit next year, if there ever is one again. What a horrible showing, really. It was just, the whole thing was pretty odd. I did like this one clip that I pulled from the president talking about his numbers. Viewing when now you're not really sure what he's talking about, because he's talking about subscribers and followers, and I think he means views of a tweet.
And I noticed things happening when I put out something, a good one that people like, right? Good tweet. It goes up. It used to go up. It would say 7,000, 7,008, 7,017, 7,024, 7,032, 7,044, right? Now it goes 7,000, 7,008, 6,998. Then they go 7,009, 6,074, I said, what's going on? No, it never did that before. It goes up, and then they take it down, then it goes up. I'd never had that. Does anyone know what I'm talking about with this? I never had that before. I used to watch it. It'd be like a rocket ship when I put out a beauty.
It was humorous, the hour of video on C-SPAN. But then a total shit show in the Rose Garden where I guess that's where he did his census question announcement. They were just going to get it from all the databases, and then, Gorka is out there threatening people, and they're all it's like
it's dumb.
But I think it's very smart. Incredibly smart.
Going on simultaneously is, I'm sorry, but the other thing going on simultaneously was Netroot.
Oh, that's the big black thing. The Netroot.
Listen, black is just it's just activists, I think, isn't it?
I thought it was black. Maybe I'm wrong.
I think you are. But it's every year they have it. It's a bunch of this. It's the same thing. It's a bunch of social. That's why I think Trump did his at the same time.
Netroots. Yeah. Why do I think this?
It's a social media gathering of all the Daily Costs is one of the major sponsors of it.
Okay, I'm wrong. I don't know why I'm confused about that. So, all right. Yes.
I do have one end of show clip.
Is it from the Netroots thing?
No, it's actually goes back to you're talking about the moon.
Okay, I'm ready for it. If you want to do end of show now,
let's do it. Okay. This is the Douglas Brinkley who wrote the book Moonshot, and he's at a conference. He's giving a lecture about the moon and what happened 50 years ago and all the rest of it. And so he's asked a question here at the end where there's the Q&A session.
There's a scene in the movie First Man where it shows a protest against the moon race, saying that it's a misappropriation of resources. And I just wanted to hear from you, how much was there kind of a counter movement against the space race during the 1960s?
Great question.
That's how you close the show, ladies and gentlemen. Listen and learn from the pros. Thank you, trolls. Thank you, artists. And thank you, supporters. Dvorak.org/NA is where you can support the program if you derived any value, maybe just travel tips. We remain open and welcoming of anything you want to support us with, because it's the only way we keep the show on the air. Keep us going. Donate. Dvorak.org/NA. And coming to you from the frontier of Austin, Texas, we are the capital of the Drone Star State, FEMA Region Number 6 on the governmental map, should you need to look it up that way to deliver the meals ready to eat. In the morning, everybody, I'm Adam Curry.
And from Northern Silicon Valley, I'm John C. Dvorak.
Coming up next on NoAgendaStream.com, Metal and Mortgages, Episode 32, New Guitar Day. And remember, we'll be here on Thursday. Dvorak.org/NA. Until then, adios, mofos, and such.
I hear the zephyr coming. See if I can turn that into a song. Zephyr coming, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. It's coming, 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 it's coming. I hear the zephyr coming.
You have to figure out, all right, what do we do from here? And you're right. We've got to get some jobs. And with 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 some jobs.
But resist, we must. We must and we will much. About that, be committed. But resist, we must. We must and we will much. About that, be committed. But resist, we must. We must and we will much. About that, be committed. But resist, we must. We must and we will much. About that, be committed.
Where can we march behind that? What the hell did he say? I don't know, but yes, we're with you.
But resist, we must. We must. We must
and we will
and
much.
we will
About
much.
that, be committed.
About that, be committed. But resist,
we must.
We must. We must
and we will
and
much.
we will
About
much.
that, be committed.
About that, be committed.
You have to figure out, all right, what do we do from here? And you're right. We've got to get some jobs. And with some jobs. And with some jobs. And with some jobs. And with some
resist, we must. We must and we will much. But resist, we must. We must and we will much. But resist, we must. We must and we will much.
We're with you.
The best podcast in the universe.
Mofo.
Dvorak.org/NA.
Thank you very, very, very much. Thank